he started his channel just for fun. Now it's been going strong for a decade long. From A to Z, all kinds of whiskey. Bill reviews them all on YouTube. Say, oh, Bill, the Whiskey Dic. Oh, whiskey lovers, come one, come all. Get a shot glass or a cocktail ball for buying guides and information. The Whiskey Dictionary is your destination. His channel just for fun. Now it's been going strong for a decade long. From A to Z, all kinds of whiskey. Bill reviews them all on YouTube. Say, oh, Bill, the Whiskey Dic. Oh, whiskey lovers, come one, come all. Get a shot glass or a cocktail ball for buying guides and information. The Whiskey Dictionary is your destination. And he started his channel just for fun. Now it's been going strong for a decade long. From A to Z, all kinds of whiskey. Bill reviews them all on YouTube. Say, oh, Bill, the Whiskey Dic.
Hey everybody, how are you doing today? Welcome to the Whiskey Dictionary. This is an episode to celebrate 10 years of the Whiskey Dictionary. 10 years, that's quite a while, obviously. Oddly enough, younger than most of the things I ever drink. So, kind of surprising. Anyway, I just wanted to say hi first off to everybody who's here in the chat early. I appreciate you guys joining. This is just obviously a weird time, middle of the day on a Sunday, but this kind of worked the best for me. So I appreciate you all taking the time to come out and join me. So let's talk a little bit about what we're going to be doing today, because this is going to be a bit of a longer stream. You know, may as well do something a little fancy for the anniversary here. So first things first is I am going to be starting off right. I am going to be pouring myself a sample that I ended up getting from Alex Johnson. Honestly, about a year and a half ago at this point. Luckily, I keep things very well like stashed, you know, dark room kind of thing. This is a 27-year-old Redbreast batch 2. This is it's bourbon, sherry, and port finished. It's yeah, something I'm very, very eager. I originally was planning on doing this as almost another vertical of the Redbreast stuff, but I've done that a couple of times. It didn't feel right to do it again just because I'm adding one more. But I am going to be starting off with a fantastic whiskey. Now, I have more things open on my computer than you could possibly imagine, so you'll have to forgive me if I'm kind of looking all over the place, but I want to put on a good show for you guys, so I've got a whole little schedule here. Schedules, yeah. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna reminisce a little bit. We're gonna talk a bit about the last 10 years, some of the highlights, some of the funny times, some of the actually honestly there haven't really been any bad times. So we're gonna talk a little bit about that year to year, but we're also gonna talk some stuff about the channel itself, because I've never really taken the time. I actually had intended on doing it before this video, but as you've all seen, I've put out a ton of videos so far already this year because I have all these ideas and I want to get them out there. And the reason is the thing that I wasn't able to do, I wanted to do like a thing of my room here. I wanted to do like a tour of the whiskey room and talk about YouTube in general. So there's going to be like a little bit of that. I know that's not quite what you're here for, but it's for me. So, all right. So while people are, and then we'll keep going. So I'm going to do the Wheel of Doom because everybody loves the Wheel of Doom. So that's going to be kind of going while we're talking about this whole thing, like year to year to year. And then we're going to do some Q&A because you guys have sent me some things. And Steve, thank you very much for encouraging everybody in the Discord and kind of poking them to get some questions in there. I really appreciate the help. And then I have some trivia for you guys about the channel. Although we'll see where we get to. And then lastly, just kind of like a sign off, so this will probably go an hour and a half to 2 hours, but maybe longer, maybe shorter. I don't really know. Either way, let's start off with this Redbreast 27, but I do want to give you all just a minute. If you haven't already, go find yourself a bottle, something that you care about, something that you would use as a celebration. Don't crack anything unless you want to, but I want you to pour something special to you to drink along with me to help me to celebrate this whole situation. And while you're taking a minute to go get that bottle, I'm just going to say hi to a few folks in the chat. So obviously, Steve, thank you very much. Nice to see you. DJ Bacon, nice to see you. We've got Charles Ashworth. Nice to see you. Matt, Jason. Wow. Alex, Ross, sorry. Geez, Ross. Oh my God. Russ, I actually have a little something to talk to you about at the very end of this. You'll hear your name. Yes, I am feeling old. 10 years is quite a while. Things have changed considerably, and not including, not the least of which is how much weight I have gained just by sitting here all the time editing videos. But I'm on a bit of a workout regimen, so we'll see what's going on. Some people asking about that song. So I signed up for like an AI music generator thing a little while ago. Boy, have I been having fun with it. But that was probably like the 30th song I generated just for this one thing. Man, I was vibing to that song so good. So if you're joining late, check out the very intro to the live stream after this is done. Congratulations. Thank you. Closest thing I've got to Irish is an American single malt called Kelly. Works for me, Charles. Steve, you're starting off with the Star Wars dick pic. Nice. Excellent. Very, very good. So I guess we'll start with John's Lane. Okay. Jason, yep, I saw you ordered that. Thank you for that. Don't do the day drinking anymore. Yeah, that's fair. I typically try not... I can't say that, honestly. Nah, I still day drink fairly often. Last week was St. Patrick's Day on Cape Cod, and if I said I waited till noon, that would be a lie. So, all right. So, all right, let's go into this Redbreast 27, as I mentioned, just to kind of start things off. So, I need to reorganize these windows just a little tiny bit. I'm going to have to do a lot more clicking in a little while. So, by the way, how weird is my mouse? It's like this vertical thing. So good for your wrist, though, if that's a thing that you deal with, like if you're on your computer 100 hours a day, like some people on this stream. All right, so let's go ahead and give this a nose, and hopefully you can raise a glass to me, but first we got to nose it. Interesting. This actually reminds me a lot of my Star Wars pick. Maybe I just have red berries on the brain, but there's a lot in here. There's kind of like that deeper cherry flavor, thinking like Oloroso kind of. Figs, raspberries, cherries. Definitely some of that, like, I mean, the pot, I can tell from the nose it's going to taste like pot still, but it has that little tiny bit of metallic note, coppery note there. It smells very clean, and like the melding of the flavors is really, really good on the nose here. It's actually almost hard to pick some stuff out. It just smells like this. So, all right, let's see. All right, you're pouring your glass of Lafroig Carchus. Nice. I like that. All right. Dismiss. I don't want... So I'm trying not to have YouTube insert any mid-roll ads, so if you see them, then I apologize, but it might force them in there, but I turned off that feature. I said I'll insert them manually, but I'm just not going to click the button. So... Okay. All right. Sorry. All right. I think I got to have a sip of this because I've made you guys all wait. I'll go and give this a little bit more evaluation, but... Cheers, everybody. Thank you all for being viewers for as long as you have, whether that's a day or 10 years. And I look forward to drinking with you guys tonight. Cheers. Okay, that's really tasty. Oh, there's a weird thing on the finish there. I know exactly what that tastes like. That tastes like is it guava or mango? I think mango. Holy crap! Why does that taste like mango? It's 100% mango. Like I'm now thinking about like, you know how when you cut a mango, a lot of times the middle of it is like really hard. You kind of get rid of that, but maybe you took a bite of it because you're an idiot and, and didn't realize it was there. Maybe that happens to some people. That's what it tastes like, mango, like almost entirely. That's a really delicious flavor. It took a minute to get there though. Thank you everybody saying congratulations in the chat. I appreciate it. Lagavulin 11-year-old Offerman edition charred oak cask. Very nice. The mouse looks like it should be on top of a joystick. Yeah, kind of does. Super tropical. Not surprised you're getting mango. Yeah. This is artificial peach rings. I could see that. I could actually really see that. The little, yeah, you guys know what I'm talking about. I remember there was a whiskey a long time ago that I tasted those like awful carnival peanuts, like the ones that are like orange, not a natural color. I wish I could remember what that is. I know the thumbnail like has it in the thumbnail. Anyway, you're picking up pepper and fruit, which leads to mango, which is usually peppery. Interesting. Pepper and fruit leading to mango. I like that. Pappy 12 and CB Eleanor. Okay. 10. Nice. Okay. So I'm going to sip this one for a little bit, and we're going to just kind of talk a little bit about the channel. So I figured out some metrics. I don't believe that these are entirely accurate, only because that would require me to have been perfect with making sure I added everything to the right kind of playlists and whatever else. But I thought these numbers were kind of interesting. So I've reviewed about 300 bottles on this channel in the 10 years, but definitely like way more. So like there's the 10 bottles the 300 bottles I've done actual episodes on, and then there's a bunch of stuff I've done on live streams. There are shorts that I've done. There's a bunch of other stuff, but these are the ones in the playlist called like the full whiskey dictionary, excuse me, plus a little bit of buffer. So 98 of those 300, and these numbers are not going to come out perfect. I tried, and I didn't want to spend the time doing it. I'll be honest. So these are about right. 98 of those 300 bottles were Scotch. 81 were bourbon. 52 were Irish. 20 were rye. 9 were American single malts or other types of American, like, for example, Sons of Liberty put out a couple of whiskeys. Corsair put out a couple of whiskeys before American single malt was actually legally a thing. So I counted those towards like American whiskeys. So consider it that. I did 9 Canadian whiskeys, which, man, every one of those must have been just an awful episode. Now 9 Indian whiskeys, and I bet every one of those was a very good episode. 2 Australian whiskeys, including the Starward Vitalis, I think is what it's called, and then also my Starward pick as well. I counted that one because why wouldn't I? Oddly enough, like I know I talked about the Starward Nova and the Starward Twofold, and I think I must have done it on a live stream because I didn't have those in my playlist. So 2 Australian, 5 Tennessee whiskeys, 4 Japanese whiskeys, 2 corn whiskeys, and 1 wheat whiskey, which that also doesn't feel quite right. It was a Woodford wheat, but I feel like I must have done some other like actual wheat whiskey. Like Maker's Mark, is that just high wheat, or is that actually a wheated whiskey? I'm trying to remember the mash bill. I would guess it's just a bourbon, right? Yeah, Kentucky straight bourbon. So it's just a high wheat mash. Okay, so and then of those few, 138 of those got buy it, 78 got try it, 37 got ignore it, and only 13 got stock it. Wheated bourbon. That's kind of what I was looking for. Thank you. But what's odd is that I mean, I'm sure there's some out there, and I'm sure there's plenty of decent ones. I didn't like the Woodford wheat. I didn't like their malt either, I believe. Neither one of those were like fantastic. Anyway, so yeah, 138 buy it, 78 try it, 37 ignore it, and 13 stock it. I did 3 distillery tours plus an additional one where I visited a place that made maple syrup that ended up aging with what is it? They aged maple syrup in Bully Boy whiskey barrels. which is funny because Bully Boy is kind of terrible, but the maple syrup itself was very, very good. Obviously, you guys might remember I sold it for a while. That was really, really fun. So then I've done 659 videos, 150 live streams, 152 shorts, and 13 of all of those videos broke 100,000 views. My top one, of course, being the Proper 12 one. So interesting way to break that down. I thought that was interesting. Now, I meant to get some pictures of these, and I don't believe I did. Just kind of looking at what I have prepared. I ran out of time a little bit towards the end, but that's okay. I've literally spent all day prepping for this stream, you know, instead of the last few weeks like probably should have. But, you know, it is what it is. So of my, the whole point, the entire length of time that I've been doing the channel, my watch just told me that this video is now live on my channel. So anybody who's joining in the next few minutes, that will be why. So I've had 4 different studio locations, which you probably will be able to recognize, and we'll do some clips later. In my old house, so I used to live in a town called Shrewsbury, Massachusetts, and it was the first house I ever bought. I was 29, with 2 days left till my 30th birthday when I bought that house. My wife and I, we moved into it. And then, you know, I started this channel, obviously, March of 2015. It was March 16th of 2015. That was the first video I ever put out. Now, I did go shopping, and, you know, I was prepping, and I'm sure I did some recording and everything else, but the first published video was March 16th of 2015. And that was Jack Daniels, Old Number 7, and Gentleman Jack. So apparently I decided to take on 2 of them at once. Very, like, considerably ambitious, I suppose, if you want to think about it that way, because I also used to have this, like, feeling or rule, I guess you'd call it a rule, where if I made a mistake at all, I would just stop and start over. Now, this was back when I would memorize my entire script, which is ridiculous. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I think you guys would like to see this. I probably should have gotten this, but I suspect this kind of thing is going to happen a few times as well, where I just want to show you guys things. So let's see. Where is it? It's right here. Script. Okay. So I guess I could probably share. I know that this is silly. You know what? This is probably, let's just do this. We'll do a window capture of Notepad. All right. So this is the script. I know it's very small. This is the script of the very first episode of the Whiskey Dictionary. I had to memorize that entire thing. So I memorized that whole thing. I did my video without a microphone, without a real microphone, using the camera mic, the on-camera mic. This is before I bought a lavalier mic or anything. And I memorized the whole thing. I filmed it probably like 400 times. And then I finally got to the end, and I was just like, done. And I didn't have to edit it. I just uploaded it. So, or not really edit it. You know, I probably cut the very beginning and the very end. And that's kind of what YouTube used to be like 10 years ago. There was a lot more like, let me just put out a thing that's kind of a little unrefined, but even though I'm sort of trying, you know, whereas like now shorts it's almost kind of coming back around where shorts are kind of a little bit more raw. Not all of them, but a lot of times it's just somebody being like, hey, I'm at the store and I'm doing this thing and here's a thing and blah, 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 unless it's like a comedy skit or something. So it's interesting to see things coming back to more realistic videos instead of overproduced. Anyway, I kind of forget where I was going with all this. Congrats on 10 whiskey dickin' or whiskey tubing, Bill. Thanks, pinch hitter. You have too many bottles on my shelves to only be stocking 13. I know. It's because I haven't finished a lot. And actually, I have a really cool thing that I'm going to end this stream with. It's over there. It's just off film. And I think you guys are going to be really interested to see what it ends up being. If you ask them nicely, I might tell you a little bit before the end of the video. So I started in that original Shrewsbury house. That was my original location. That's where you guys first saw this first video. And if you ever saw like the very first whiskey glasses video I ever did, that was in the old house. Then I moved to the house I live in now. And that was where all of those videos in my kitchen were. Actually, both of them were in my kitchen, Shrewsbury and the one I'm in now. But the like shiny granite countertop, the brown walls that you guys probably remember, the bar, all of that is the house I'm living in now. And that was like my second studio. Then when COVID first happened and I started working from home, I was like, it'd be really nice to just have the setup downstairs since I have to anyway for work. Maybe I could set up all my camera equipment and everything and have it just down there. And that's when I bought that like fake brick wall that I had behind me. And you guys, I'm sure you remember that one too. That was actually probably, I liked that one, not the most, because like this is really cool, even though it's like way overlit at the moment. I need to maybe turn these down. I'm not going to get up at this point. Anyway, it was really, I liked that background a lot because I had like the one little shelf, and usually what was on that shelf was going to be the next review I did. And then I made this room. So during COVID, we ended up hiring a guy to come and do our basement. This was right when the price of lumber was like starting to get crazy expensive. So he even told us, I'll never forget this conversation. He was like, I need you to go to Home Depot and buy this. And like he handed me a list. He says, if you go yourself, I have a big truck, Toyota Tundra. He's like, if you go yourself and buy this today, you will probably save yourself like 20% if I have to go buy it 2 days from now. And that's just cost of materials, not even like paying him to go do that with his time. And he wasn't wrong. I remember I went and I bought it. And then like a few days later, he was like, I have to go buy a couple more things. And when he went and did it, he's like, yeah, just so you know, like that was right. It was like 20% more. I'm like, holy crap. It was insane. So we ended up building this office, which is fairly large. And let's do this. So full webcam. Right now it's pointing at the, yeah. All right, hopefully you guys can hear me. Yeah. So this room right here, this is where I film. Sorry for the shakiness. There's the, big green screen I'll do some of my thumbnails on. Those are my new 3D printers. That's going to be my new fun toy that I'm going to be playing with. So it's an Anycubic, what is it? Photon Mono M7 Pro, if anybody's out there is interested. That is the shirt I was wearing earlier today. I changed it into the Whiskey Dick shirt. Those are all the bottles I haven't actually done reviews on yet. So that's where those are all stored. Then over here, this is like my merch shelf, I guess, or more like giveaway shelf. So there's a bunch of stuff over there that I haven't given away. There's all my shirts. So those few times that you guys have seen me on stream where I've like gotten up and changed my shirt like 700 times, that's why, because they're right there. Those are plastic whiskey glasses that only a handful of you guys out there have. And then this is where I keep all my whiskey pins. These are, of course, all the bottles that you see behind me normally, but there's a whole bunch of floor bottles. There's some weights that I don't really ever touch, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So then over here, and I'm actually going to be careful because just to the right is that secret bottle I don't want to tell you about. I have a little Funko Pop. My daughter for Christmas got me Indiana Jones from his newest movie. It was a Funko Pop, and I'm just like, okay. Darts, which I'm terrible at, and then yeah, that's kind of it. So, sorry, let me switch back. Scene. All right, so that is the whiskey room, and we were able to build this whole thing right at the beginning of COVID, and then obviously now we have this as the studio, and it's wonderful. This is where I work every day, though, like for my regular job. But it's nice because I can just kind of, maybe at lunch I could film like an info video. I will say I have never actually drank during work hours, despite all of this behind me. It has been tempting, especially in the last couple of years, but it is something I've just never let myself do because it feels like a slippery slope to just show up drunk at work or whatever, which I just don't think I would ever want to do. Hey, thank you, Steve. Screw the barbells, we're doing 100 proof curls. I like that you called those barbells. So, they're dumbbells. Barbells are like the big long one, but it's still funny. Yeah, no, I have another shelf for sure. Oh yeah, the scratch. We'll be talking about the bar at some point. We'll definitely be talking about that. Okay, so then we have this is where I'm now filming all the time, of course. I work from home in my own company. My team understands if the meeting is towards the end of the day, whiskey will be involved. Yeah, that was like, I used to work for small companies, and that was definitely more of an option. Like, I definitely remember the end of the day. I think it was like Mondays we would do margaritas sometimes, and that was super fun. But I know it. I don't want to say it sounds silly, because it doesn't. Honestly, it's more like ethics. But like, I just will not let myself drink alcohol in this room when I am working. If I go out to lunch with coworkers or whatever, of course I'm having beers. But just feel like it's too easy to reach back and grab them. Anyway, all right. Size is relative. Oh, yeah. Okay. So if you're really tiny, those are barbells. I work from home for myself and solo. Sipping whiskey while I work is perfectly okay. Best perk, even if I don't do it often. Yeah, I'm certainly not judging anybody who's able to do that. It's more like, consider what I have access to, which I imagine that quite a few of you out there have very nice collections. But if I let myself do it, it's going to be like an everyday thing, and it just doesn't need to be. All right. So, next little thing I wanted to talk about. So many of you will probably remember that I'll keep this short because I think this is probably only interesting to me, but it's interesting to me, so I want to talk about it. My thumbnails have been a point of stress and annoyance for me for the entirety of my YouTube career. This is what my thumbnails looked like when I first started the channel, which they do look good. And I liked the red with the 80 proof and the, saying what it was. Hey, thank you, Sam. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And I like that you guys are having this little theme of $10. That's wonderful. So this is what my thumbnails used to look like. Actually, in fact, this is probably a nice one compared to what most of them looked like. And a fun fact that you guys probably don't know, I might have mentioned it one time on the stream. By the way, I'm going to say fun fact about 700 times today. I'm sorry. It's a thing. The white in this video, in this thumbnail, if you look really hard, let me even make this bigger so that maybe you can see. If you look really closely at this, you might see some artifacts. Nah, you can't really see it. This is my wall at the first house I lived in. I kind of lit it in a way that made it look really flat, and then I just kind of kept that as a file, and that was my thumbnail background forever. So I always thought that was really funny because it looks like I just kind of clicked gradient or whatever, right? So I'm in IT. I'm a director of software engineering. Yep. Thank you, Matt. Man, I'm feeling very, very blessed already. Thank you guys very much. I appreciate this. So this is my old thumbnail style. Then I was like, I don't like that thumbnail style anymore. It doesn't really look like anything. It's just a white thing with some bottle on it and some text. So then I switched over to an image I forgot to resize. I switched over to something more like this, which I actually liked. This one's probably my favorite style I've ever done. And I had a different color for each style of whiskey. So like Tennessee whiskeys were brown, bourbons were red, scotches were something else, whatever. And nobody liked it. Hey, Russ, thank you so much. What's that little 5 that it has? That's interesting. I wonder what that means. But thank you very much. Oh, that's your 5th super on my live stream. That's really cool. How do I do that? Let's celebrate your 5th super on my live stream. Can I celebrate you somehow? Russ, I'm celebrating you. All right. So anyway, this was my favorite style of thumbnail, but nobody ever clicked on them, and it drove me crazy because they're not only easy to make, but they also just, I think it's very clear what you're about to get into. Had my logo on it and everything. So then I moved on to this, which again, man, I thought I went through everything that I had ready, and of course I forgot to do something, but that's okay. This was another style I did, again, kind of mimicking the two. I had these in different colors. I'm not sure why this one's black. What I would do is I would grab the top box, and I would grab the color of that top box from the whiskey, and then the other one would be whatever the internet told me was a good contrasting color with that top color. And I would just do that. And it was super easy, and it took 2 seconds and whatever. Again, nobody clicked on those. So then I decided to get all creative. And I had these like gradient style thumbnails that I did, like this one for the Ano 18-year-old. I liked these a lot. They were fancy. They took a little bit of time, but they always looked really good. The issue is that not a lot of bottles actually have like this high a quality picture. A lot of them are really grainy, and if you try to find them online, they're hard. And then I kind of moved on to more what you guys have been seeing lately. It hasn't changed a whole lot in the last couple of years. This year, I've changed them to have like that watercolor, like almost like the splash of color on the side. Those are getting pretty low clicks as well, so it's possible I'm going to change those. Is the old music coming back at any point? Funny you say that. We'll be talking about that in a little bit. That's really cool. Fun music to the thumbnail. Yeah. Did I fun music to the thumbnail? Did I oh, whatever. Anyway. So then all right, let me talk about this. So oh yeah. Okay. So I wanted to talk about some of the highlights of this channel, and we're going to talk about a lot of them more like by year to year, but there's a few things that have happened with this channel that you guys just don't know about at all. Things like I've been on radio stations, not me personally, but like radio station. Like there's this one, it was 104.1 WTKS. They grabbed some of my audio and just were teaching people about whiskey on their radio station. Like I guess they did like a half-hour long whiskey thing in between songs, and every time it would be a break, they would just play my voice telling people about whiskey. I'm like, okay. I mean, honestly, I didn't care enough to like try to do something about it, but I thought that was very interesting, especially knowing like terrestrial radio has the stupidest rules around what you can and can't do, and like really like they're really restricted on copyright laws and stuff. But whatever, I don't mind a DJ who goes a little out of the way, so I certainly wasn't going to do anything about it. There was a show, like a TV show on the History Channel that I was being considered for. I don't know what it was called. It didn't have a name yet, but I did audition for it. And I remember having it was like I got through the first round of audition, was like kind of like a tell us a little bit about yourself, like it was like a 3-minute phone conversation. I think more just to make sure I like existed and I wasn't weird. So somehow I made it through that. And then I did like a half-hour long audition where the concept of the channel or the show was almost not like dirty jobs. I don't know why I think of that, but the idea is go out to random distilleries and learn about their history and talk about it, which is literally my channel. So when they came to me with this concept, I was like, you guys could not possibly be talking to a better person. Like, that is all I do, is I research the distilleries. Sometimes I call them and I ask them stories or whatever, and then I write it and I deliver it. So we did all that and things were going well. Actually, I got a few more emails. We were going back and forth and like it was looking good. And then COVID happened and then everything just got canceled. So that didn't come to any real head, which realistically speaking, I imagine that it probably wouldn't have been lucrative enough for me to like leave my job to go do. But it probably would have been tempting. It's cool to be on TV, I'm sure. So let's see, there were those couple things. Let's see, I've been at like a number of different, whiskey events where people have known me or wanted me to sign things. Like those are really fun, but you would probably expect that. But those two big things, I don't think I've ever actually talked about them on a live stream. And especially the TV one, that was really exciting. I remember doing like a whole, like I filmed a video too, and I showed off my space. That was back when I had the brick wall, just to give you an idea of the time frame. So let's see. I hear Ano is really good, sadly not around. Yeah, that's a tough one. Congrats on 10 years, Bill. Makes me feel old that a decade has flown by. Yeah. Hey, Paul. I didn't even realize that was you. I agree, Paul. 10 years is a lot. Within those 10 years, by the way, so when I started this channel, I think my oldest daughter was 9 months old, something like that. I don't know what convinced me, what lack of sleep made me decide that I wanted that forever. But that was when I decided I wanted to do this. Okay. So I wanted to show off something else. This is these are some of my logos, and there's a couple of these that you guys haven't seen before. So this was my original first logo. I'm sure you guys have seen it. I kept it on the white background because the black text just kind of, makes sense. So this was the original logo. I don't even know where I got this. I think one of the people I worked with made this for me. When I told him what I wanted to do, he was like, oh, you need to have like some fancy stuff and then the word and whatever else. So I think he made this and gave it to me, and I just used it for a long time. That actually was even on all of my business cards and everything, which I still have. Like, I think I have one left. Anyway, so then of course we went over to this one. Now, a funny thing about this logo is Aquavitae actually helped me with this. He created the Glencairn and the dictionary part, and then I did all the rest of it, kind of going with the idea of like Starbucks. Steve had too much whiskey last night. Yeah, I get you. I had too much beer last night. So this is logo number 2. I liked it because the brown was kind of like for whiskey or whatever, but realistically it's kind of gross color brown. So then I ended up switching over to a light color blue, which is not what I have currently. I liked this one because it stood out on most of the stuff I was doing. But then when I changed my, actually, I think that might, no, that's not quite the one that I have behind me. And then I ended up doing this darker colored blue. So that's where this ended up. But obviously you guys know what my logo looks like now. Now, a couple of the logos that you haven't seen yet, I'm going to just move these where they belong first because I keep having to, I swear I like resized all this stuff. I think maybe something changed when I, like an aspect ratio or something. All right. So this is a logo that somebody made for me that I considered for a moment. Picture this a little bit more refined. Like, this is a rough draft, right? It's okay, but it wouldn't look good in almost anything. Like, picture that as my little avatar. Like, you wouldn't be able to read any of it. So I didn't go with that one. Then there was this one, which kind of had, I liked this one a little bit more, but it didn't have the right kind of dimensions. It was much clearer, and I even thought about maybe getting rid of the book on the left, but that was not gonna work because then you lose the dictionary part. Anyway, so thank you, Sai. Yeah, I really like the blue one. I think that one is probably the best, and it looks good on stuff. You know, it's funny that the whiskey dictionaries I had printed have the blue though. I mean, the brown, because it's almost like a moment in time. You know, like that was a very small amount of time that I had. Well, maybe it was probably like a couple of years I had the brown logo, but I've had the blue one quite a bit longer. It's on the glass I'm drinking out of. Yep. Congrats on 10 years, Bill. Your channels have helped me a lot to begin my own whiskey journey. 4 months so far. Hope my submitted question is not too long. Well, I'm going to refresh those in a little while. I have quite a few questions, which I intend on getting to all of them because there's really no reason to not to. Okay, so this is a question. I think I'll just get into it now. I forget, did you ever revisit Jack like number 7 and Gentleman? I didn't revisit Jack number 7 only because I've drank it like a number of times here on the channel, and I still believe it's a stock it. I know that it's not like the best thing I have in my bar by any means, but it's such an approachable whiskey that like everybody knows, and it's fine, and it mixes well, and it doesn't drink neat very well, but it's not like offensive. So that one's totally fine. I have not had Gentleman Jack in probably like 7 years, so it's tougher to say that one, but I don't remember it being terrible. I do think maybe it's like probably not worth it to bother with. And actually, I don't even remember the last time I saw Gentleman Jack in person. They must still have it, I'm sure. How can I tell if I have the brown or the blue one on my Glencairn? Well, actually, there's 2 different styles of whiskey Glencairns. There's the one that had the bars on the back that said, like, you know, for research, for science, whatever. That one was the first one I did, and it had kind of a lesser engraving. I don't know that you can't really see this very well. You can see it a little bit. This has been washed like 7,000 times, right? And it's still got the logo pretty well in there. It's pretty well etched. You can see it's starting to fade, but for tasting, for research, and for science on the back, those still are in good shape too. So good to see those held up. Now the deeper engraved Glencairns, I like those a lot more, and they have like a cool little feel to them. It's almost like they took like a chunk out of the glass. Please consider Bonded. That's a stock it for me. Yeah, I have the Bonded, but I don't believe I made that a stock it. It probably could be. It'd be interesting to do like a Jack Daniel's side by side. I'm sure that video would do really well. So this is the thing I wanted to do. So I guess I'll kind of go through this one fast. So videos I wish I had done better. Kind of really just or no, sorry, videos that I wish had done better, not me personally, but videos that I wish had gotten a lot more views because for whatever reason they either cost a lot of money or they took a lot of time. The first one was I did these 2 videos about Girl Scout Girl Scout cookie whiskey pairings, and I thought the video was actually pretty well done, and I bought like a bunch of boxes of of Girl Scout cookies. I think I bought like all of them, and then I think the videos are both still under 1,000 views. So those I wish had done a little bit better. I was looking through my whole backlog and I was like, which videos do I really think should have gotten more views? I also thought it was just a good idea. And when I released it was right when Girl Scout cookies are being sold. So like the timing was perfect. Everything about it seemed good. Even the thumbnail wasn't terrible. But just no clicks. So there was another one I did, 5 whiskey terms that mean absolutely nothing. I liked that one, and it had all of the makings of a good video. The thumbnail was good. The concept was good. It was released at the right time. And I don't know why. I think it's probably at like 4,000 views, which I released it probably 4 or 5 years ago. So it should really be at like 20 or maybe more, if not way more. But I wanted people to see that one because there's so many like marketing terms, and negativity in general usually does really well. So I'm surprised that one didn't do better. Probably the last 2 that I want to bring up that I really think should have done better is there was one I did on the Aged Noir travel decanter, and that one, I don't know what happened on that one. It really, really, really should have done better. It only has about 3,000 views, I want to say, and it was a ton of work to film. I had drone shots. I had like I had to travel places to do it. I had to film. I got products. I did all kinds of stuff. And I've talked about it 1,000 times. And for whatever reason, people I literally drop kicked it in my front yard just to see if the glass would break. Spoiler, it didn't. But for whatever reason, that video doesn't get a lot of views. I ended up with the Aged Noir decanter eventually, in part because of your video. Yeah. And Spencer, I have no doubt that you're one of the viewers on there. It was more like it didn't get any sort of organic traffic. And I'm sure that that's what stifled it. And then the last one, this one kills me. So I did a video last Halloween called What Haunts Your Whiskey? And the idea was that over the years, I've learned all of these stories about haunted distilleries, and I started to notice a trend where there are a lot of stories of haunted distilleries. And I thought it'd be interesting to talk about some of the ones I learned. So I actually went to a graveyard and I filmed there, and it was just kind of raining to the point where everything was a nightmare and like everything was getting wet, and I was worried about my camera, and I filmed all of this stuff and I thought it came out okay. The audio could have been better, but I did what I could with it because it was an external microphone. It was whatever. But the video, I want to say it's at like 600 views right now. I remember just being like, what happened? Like I literally could have just sat here and been like, whiskey, and then just stopped the video and it would have done better. So that was a little disappointing, but I was surprised that one didn't do better because I released it like a day before Halloween. It was perfect timing. And then just one more little thing, and then we're going to get into our next section here. In case you can't tell, this is going to be a long live stream. So products I reviewed that I love. So there were 3 things. I wish I would have grabbed the glasses. So the Snoot glasses that I reviewed forever ago, they're like metal glasses. They are fantastic. Let me grab a quick picture of these. This would have been in miscellaneous. My organization structure, despite me usually being very, very, very good about organization, is horrific with my whiskey videos. All right, let's see. I just dropped it in here. Should be loading. Taking forever. There it is. So these Snoot glasses here, these were super, super cool. Those are some of my favorites. I've used them so many countless times. I love that product. Then there is the Aged Noir decanter that I mentioned. And then there's also their little travel kit, which I think is very cool, especially if you are going on a flight or something like that. But like I go up to New Hampshire a lot, and I don't always want to just bring bottles with me. So a lot of times I'll pack one of those, especially if it's like a 2-nighter. That's plenty for me, usually. Love my Snoot glasses, perfect for travel. Yeah, exactly. I take them camping a lot, actually, because they work out really well, and they're easy to rinse out. The Girl Scout cookie one may have been because like 5 other channels did. Yeah, not that year, Sugar Kitty, but you're right. I think I had the first one, which also, now that you mentioned it, I'm pretty confident I had the first one. that year at least. So whatever. But totally could have been that. Congratulations on a decade of information, entertainment, and enthusiasm. Cheers. Wispy Woods, thank you very much for commenting on like every single video. I totally notice, and I really, really appreciate it. I actually like they're not even just like nice video. They're like well thought out responses and comments. So I appreciate that. Can't watch now at work, but wanted to send in my congratulations for a decade. Thank you, David. Appreciate that. I'm sorry you have to work on the weekend, but hopefully you are able to end early and go have a drink. They're metal though. Yes, they are metal. Well, yeah, they are metal. In that video I did kind of like a blind tasting just to see if metal kind of affected the taste of the whiskey. And to me, at least, I didn't taste any difference whatsoever. Okay. So, that was Bill Hates nice video comments confirmed. What are you talking about? I just said I liked his comments. Man, this whiskey is delicious. I can't get past that mango. And which makes it delicious. It's like drinking mango juice. It tastes really, really good. All right. Not sure if taking questions live, but have you had any of the Bowman distillery releases? No. Bowman Distillery. Let me just make sure. Oh, no, I recognize the bottle. I have not. I'm sure they're good. Unfortunately, I know very, very little about them. Okay, so I now have, I'm going to put this one aside because the last thing I'm going to do is waste any of this Redbreast 27. But I want to get into, that was water. I want to get into my next little section here, which is going to involve the Wheel of Doom. So let's turn that guy on. We're going to go over to Wheel of Doom. These options here are mostly accurate. I think there might be one or two missing, or that have left it. But I guess ignore that. I didn't have time to fully update it with exactly what I have because there's like 40 things on here. Anyway, I'm going to pick one at random. All right, this one's pretty tall. So let's go back over here. All right, I need to change the layout here because this is driving me crazy. Scene. Okay. So this is the Writer's Tears. Cognac finish. I can't make out one of the words. I'm sorry. So Writer's Tears something XO cognac finished. 46% from 2019. So let's pour a little bit of this. And I do have some notes about this whiskey just so we can understand what we're drinking. So let's see. This is going to be Irish. Wow. I have so much, so many whiskeys. Holy crap. All right. Let's see. Writer's Tears, Cognac Cask 2019. Okay. So, okay. A super premium edition of Writer's Tears Copper Pot. This expression's finished for 9 months in French oak casks seasoned with, oh, that's why I can't read it because it's like a French word. DEAU, dough, XO cognac. The finishing process enhances depth and complexity, creating a unique blend of aged single malt and single pot still whiskey with elevated rich blah, 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 blah. Okay, cool. So it's a more fancy version of the Copper Pot still, which is cool. I like the Copper Pot still. All right. Yeah, I know. It is fitting that Irish would be the first one to be picked on the Wheel of Doom today. All right. And the nose doesn't really remind me of cognac. It is very sweet on the nose, though. Took a second to get there. Interesting. All right, let's have a taste. Cheers, everybody. This will be a cheers to 2015. Okay. Well, it tastes like cognac. Actually, it barely tastes like whiskey. I've often said that Irish whiskey is kind of like the chicken of whiskey, whereas like it takes really well to other flavors. Almost like it brings such a neutral balance to whiskey that it's easy to overwhelm it with other things that you finish it in. So I'm usually a fan. Switch my Glenallachie 12 to my Whiskey Dick Rocks glass for you. 10 years. Congrats, Bill. Thank you, Archie. I love the Whiskey Dick Rocks glasses, too. They're really heavy. Like, their bottoms are heavy, and it's just nice to hold. All right. So here's what I want to do with the second section here, because I'm a nerd, and I broke out my live stream into sections. So what we're going to do, I kind of wrote down some highlights from each year. So I wanted to start with 2015. Now, in 2015, I posted 10 videos. I started with Jack Daniel's Old Number 7 and Gentleman Jack. That was the very first episode I ever did, as we kind of talked about a little bit. I'm actually going to switch a couple things around here. That way I can see this easier and not just look off to the side. Okay. One of the fun things about 2015, so I'm the kind of guy who gets really into any hobby that I start. And I'm sure that many of you out there can relate. As you just saw, I have those 3D printers. I bought, I didn't buy like $150 one. I got like a $400 one, or like it was expensive, right? And like, because I have to have the nicest stuff and I have to have all of the things. And that's okay because I love it and I really get into my hobby. So it makes sense. I usually go with the mentality of I'm not going to try this once to see if I like it. I'm more like, I want to start getting into this, so I'm going to be all about this for the next 5 years. So the fact that I've been doing this channel for 10 years is actually kind of a lot for me for a hobby. Usually 5 years is my cutoff. This Rider Tears is pretty nice. Does taste like copper pot still. I think I wouldn't identify it as Rider's Tears, but I would definitely identify it as Irish. And then the cognac adds a little bit of like I guess like a fruity flavor. I wanted to give you more than that. I mean, plums come to mind, but that might be a little darker than what I'm really tasting. Anyway, so one of the things I really got into, and I started off with It was a Nikon D3200 was the camera that I had. And I remember it could only output like 1080p. I'm late. Congrats on 10 years. Cheers, Whiskey Dick. Thank you. Wife thinks I get into things only because others do. I have zero friends that have a hot sauce collection and only recently made cigar friends though I've been smoking them for years. Hey, Molly, nice. Fun format for your final show. The flashbacks to how you got started are a fantastic idea. Appreciate that, Molly. Many of you will remember Molly. She was on our diabetes episode that we did, as well as she did a huge run on Dungeons and Drams, both of which we'll be talking about later. So I appreciate you showing up, Molly. As for the hot sauce thing, dude, you're talking to the right guy. I love hot sauce. And like, there is literally nothing I've ever found that has been too hot for me to want to eat it. I've tried. I've done like competitions and all that stuff. Like, I love hot sauce. I think like flavor might just be a thing for me. So anyway, one of the things I really loved, so I had that Nikon D3200 and then I bought a lavalier mic, and that was like the big thing for me because now my audio can sound good. And you'll notice a big difference between like my first maybe 4 videos or 5 videos and then like my 6th video. Somewhere right in that range is when I got that lavalier mic, and it just sounded so much better. It still sounds like garbage nowadays. I wish I could go back and like re-upload it using all the stuff I know now. But anyway, so I got that. I got a little bit of lighting. Actually, I'm going to mention my grandmother a couple of times here, and she's since passed away, but it's fun to remember some of the things that she has helped me to be able to do. So for Christmas one year, she bought me this like lighting kit. And I want to say it was like about $100. I actually remember it distinctly being like, this is the one I'd like. Not to her, but maybe to my parents. And then she got me this lighting kit. And it was these like white umbrella things. I actually have, oh man, I'm the worst. There was so much I had to remember for today. And of course, like, you're going to forget some of it. Let me actually, nope. All right, hold on. So let me drag this over. I'm just grabbing things off of Google at the moment. The Googles. All right. So let's grab these two, bring them over to here, and boom. They're going to, holy crap, that's huge. All right, let's do this. I'm sorry. All of this should have been done ahead of time. If only I had people for that, right? So this is that house in Shrewsbury I was telling you about, by the way, the very first one. This is what it looked like from the other side. And it's fun to look back because, we had this huge counter, which was pretty much made for entertaining guests. And that's where I filmed. And then those are the lighting setups that I had. So then we had, this is like another view. This is, I think, when I was doing Bullet 10 year, maybe. I'm pretty sure that was Bullet 10 year. And then I had the Craig Ellichey 13 back there as well. Wow, that's an old picture. So anyway, I got really into like all of the gear, and I guess that's kind of what I was getting at, is that it was really fun to learn all this new stuff, but I also had to learn how to edit videos because I had no clue. And that was, I think, where my like style of like really almost like simplistic style videos came from, is the fact that I had no clue what I was doing, and it just kind of worked for me because of the time frame that I started uploading. And I thought this was kind of funny. My 5th episode that I ever uploaded was a Canadian whiskey. It was 40 Creek Copper Pot Still, maybe. And I just thought that was funny given the history of Canadian whiskey on this channel. If Bill's lifetime hobby, it's Bill's lifetime hobby. Yeah. Congratulations on 10 years, Bill. Thank you. Nice knowing you got over 5 years. Yeah, I hear you. Let's see. In the spirit of anniversaries, I'm moving into Wild Turkey 70th anniversary. Wow, nice. All right, cheers, drinking Glenmorangie Signet right now. Wow, nice. Have you had that for a while, or have you picked it up recently? Because boy, is that's a pricey bottle nowadays. I remember when I first reviewed that, it was $180. I think I got it as a gift. Not a gift. I think I got it from Glenmorangie, actually. They might have sent it to me, or maybe one of their reps. I don't believe I paid for it. I'd have to go back and look, but I'm pretty confident. Either way, I recommended it. Like at the time, even for $180, like that would have been something I would buy. I think I gave it a buy it. But nowadays when it's like $250 or even more, that's a tougher sell. I don't know what it tastes like now, and I'm not sure if I love it as much, but I do love it, or I did love it. So hard to say. Let's see. 40 Creek used to be so good. Something changed when they switched to screw top. Interesting. Good choice on the Signet. I swear that's the best thing. Glenmore. Yep. Bought my bottle of Signet on your recommendation, Bill, and I still have a little bit left. Nice. You better drink that, though, before it kind of goes like my Port Charlotte 10 did. Oh, I could still taste that. That was so bad. All right. So moving along to 2016. So in 2016, I did my first video on whiskey glasses, which is where I had bought this set. And it was like, I want to say it was 6 different glasses. It was like, each one was named after the type of whiskey that you should drink it with. And what it really was basically like a Canadian Glencairn, kind of like a fake sort of, what are they called? I don't remember. It's a type of glass that looks almost like a spittoon. And then there was like a rocks glass. And then I think there might have been something similar to a Glencairn in there, but not quite because copyright. And it came with 6 of them, and they were all just named after what you should drink in them. So I remember being like, this is definitely the type of glass that you want to drink this whiskey in. Which is funny how much my attitude has changed. It's basically drink it out of a Glencairn or a rocks glass if you don't care what it actually smells like. But that video did huge. It's over 250,000 views right now. And I would guess that many of you guys have found me through that video, or some of the long timers probably saw that video first. Then, like I mentioned, my grandmother. So Yamazaki 12, it used to be about $100 back before Japanese whiskey was as huge as it still is. And I remember that she bought me that bottle. Now, at the time, my grandmother she was fairly old, certainly on a limited income and everything. So having her spend $100 on a bottle of whiskey was huge to me. And I appreciated that bottle so much. And I could still remember how it tastes. It was like black tea instead of whiskey. And I thought that was so weird. I do remember that one being something that I was like remembering, or more just considering how different whiskey could taste. But my first exposure to Japanese whiskey was the Yamazaki 12. So that was pretty good start. Then there was the should you add water or ice to your whiskey, and the should you decant your whiskey videos, which still are among my top viewed videos almost every month. Might have been worth redoing those videos, but I had a million other ideas to get to. Hey, Jeffrey, nice to see you. Couple of weeks now, drink one every Sunday to close the weekend. Still my number one whiskey. Okay, nice. Well, there's the Norland glass as well. Yep, that was the thing. Yo, whack. Cheers, Bill's grandma. Nice. So then August 1st, 2016 was the last video from my first studio. So that was about when we moved, which is interesting to think about. My second daughter was born at that point. She was born in January 30th of 2016. So she was about 7 months old at that point. And I was still making videos with a 7-month-old at home. By the way, this will not be the last time I say this. I would like to thank my wife for her infinite patience with me in this particular hobby, and the fact that I am consistently exhausted. Okay. So here's something I wanted to show off. This was something I did. This was the first time I ever did a let's see. This is the first time that I ever did. Where the hell is it? Oh, a video where I filmed like multiple scenes and different angles and stuff. This was the Peat monster. And definitely let me know if you guys can like hear everything okay, because this is the first time I'm really doing a thing like this. So I wanted to do a video on the Peat monster, but I didn't want to just be like, hey everybody, this is the Peat monster. I wanted to kind of dive into it. Clink. I could still remember that. I tried like 6 different times to get that particular noise for this one.
What should I drink?
Okay, yeah.
Maybe a bourbon. Let's see. You know, I haven't had Buffalo Trace in a while.
So I'm just gonna pause it for a sec. So that like red video, obviously that was me like on the floor with my camera like moving, right? But also I was like, well, I need a noise for the monster. So I just put myself in front of the camera, the microphone, and I was just like making weird noises, and then I distorted the heck out of it.
Maybe I should do an episode on this.
That was where I used to keep my whiskey.
Let me see. I forget what it tastes like.
A smaller amount. Look at them cargo shorts. All right, live audio is very quiet. All right, I can. I'm just enjoying watching this with you. Oh, I was reading Game of Thrones.
What was that?
Funny to think it's been that long since he's put out a new book. Wow. I remember everybody in my house was sleeping. Because of course they were.
Didn't I have the bathroom light on? Huh.
My audio is so bad in this though.
I know I heard something.
There we go.
Hello? The hell? I don't have lights in here.
Acting.
Whoa.
Where'd all my whiskey go?
The heck is this? The Peat monster. Yeah, what the hell? Alright.
Because that's a reaction that that's the reaction that most people would have in that situation. Oh, what the hell? Let me just drink this random thing. Anyway, that was really fun. I remember making that video. It took forever, but I actually really enjoyed that creativity part. And that was where I was like, okay, I'm like into this. I can do some fun stuff. So then also just in 2016, I started my Patreon. And there wasn't a ton of stuff that I used to put out. It was more like letting you guys know what I was going to do that week, or just talking or whatever else. It was fun. So let me just look at something real quick here. Sorry, give me just a sec. I gotta go back over here. Whoops, let me get rid of that. Oh yeah, all right. So this is something else I wanted to play. I didn't have a note in here to play this, but let this one bring you back. So that music takes me back, man. That was like the first thing that I would hear every time I would edit, and there were a lot of late nights that started with that music, as well as obviously most of my early videos, probably the first year and a half, maybe 2. But it was great. I liked that too. All right, so moving on to 2017. So in 2017, I did my very first live stream. So actually, in 2016, I released 13 videos. In 2017, I did 45 videos plus 10 live videos. And I did my very first live stream called How to Taste Whiskey. Now, I remembered my first live stream as being on the Oak Cross, because I had the weirdest setup, and I'm only going to be able to explain this in a way that there's just no way that you're going to be able to understand it. So, you know, wood clamps. This is going to be good, right? So, you know, wood clamps, like they look like a C, and you kind of like, I'm not talking about the ones that screw. I'm talking about the ones that like slide and you can like that. They're used to hold things together when you're gluing them, right? Well, I was kind of into woodworking at the time, so I had a number of these, and most people that are into woodworking have 10,000 clamps. And I was like, I don't have a tripod yet that could work for doing this live stream. So I need some way to have my camera up or like even with my face, and I've got no way to do that. So I finagled all of my C-clamps and some wood, and I made like a tripod that was attached to the back of a chair, and that was my first, like, that was my second live stream. Very, very weird. But I remember just being like, this entire time, I'm like, this camera is going to fall, it's going to break, and I'm going to be done with the channel because I'm probably not going to rebuy a new camera. Anyway, I thought that was kind of cool. But with the very first live stream I did, it was actually almost like a behind the scenes of me filming how to taste whiskey. And so I had the camera on the table, and it was just facing me, and it was like seeing all of my mess ups and all of my like bloopers and whatever else. And every now and then I would like look down at the live stream and talk to you guys, and then I would film another clip of it. And it was fun. I liked that as a concept, and I got a lot of positive feedback from people being like, it's nice to see that YouTubers just like do all these takes over and over and over again. And yeah, I thought that was cool. I also went to my very first festival in 2017, which was the New England Whiskey Festival. And it was the first time my dad showed up on the channel, actually one of only 2 times. The second of which being like 2 weeks ago on that Manhattan Project episode. But we did the Whiskey Festival. It was not the first time I had met somebody who recognized me in person, but I met a lot of people who recognized me. And it was cool to have that happen in front of my dad, where people were like, Bill! And I'm like, hi, you know. But his name's Bill too, so it was a little weird. I also did my first Booker's review on January 1st of 2017. It was Toogie's Invitation, which was 2016-03, and started my brief love affair with Booker's. And I'm sure many of you know, and if you have the very first challenge coin I ever made, it had I Love Booker's on it, and it was something I really did love. I loved it, and probably still would love any of them that I buy. It's more, I stopped because the price was high, and because, frankly, like, It's Bourbon Night beat me to all of them, as well as Jason would start, I think he does them. Other channels are able to get them a lot sooner than I get them up here in Massachusetts, so I kept not being the first one to review them, and that was like a point of pride for me. For about 1.5 years, I was the first person to review any Booker's that came out, and I still couldn't get on any sort of like a marketing situation with them, so unfortunately I had to find the bottles, and then I ended up being not the first one. Let's see. Oh, well, you guys will like this one. So that year I also did this video.
Hello everybody, and welcome to the Whiskey Dictionary, where I do the research to try to teach you a little something about what you're drinking. Now tonight we're going to be drinking Johnnie Walker Red Label. Oh, that's literal garbage. Sorry. All right, tonight we're going to be drinking Johnnie Walker Red Label. Wait a minute. This is pure gasoline. All right, let me try again. Tonight we're going to be drinking Johnnie Walker Red Label.
Man, that one brings back some memories. I've gotten so many comments on that video throughout the years. It's everything that you would imagine. It's people who love that first clip and laugh their asses off about it. And then there are people who absolutely are like, I'll never watch any of your stuff ever again. You're so mean to Johnnie Walker. It's like, they don't need my support. Trust me. They're going to be just fine. To be fair, Johnnie Walker Red is pretty awful. Yes, they are. I prefer the smell of gasoline. That's actually not a bad point. Okay, so let's see, what else did I do? So I made my definitive bourbon and Scotch buying guides, maybe the rye one too, which obviously those were huge for the channel. Most people also know me from one of those videos. Let's go ahead and pick another Wheel of Doom. I'm turning off this wheel in between things because it does make a lot of noise right in my left ear, and it's a little distracting. So let's pick, what's this one? Oh, another tall one. I don't know this one, but I'm excited for it, given the name. All right, so this one is the Opedin Spirits Smoke and Sea Straight Bourbon. Okay, that sounds promising. I like smoke, I like sea, I like bourbon, and I like 46%. let's see what the deal is with this one. Oppidan. So produced by Oppidan Spirits. I'm going to say Oppidan because it's almost like Oppenheimer. In Illinois, Smoke and Sea is a unique bourbon that combines their 4-grain straight bourbon and their Solera aged bourbon mash bills. It is finished in French oak and peated Islay Scotch barrels. Wow, everything about this sounds awesome. It's finished in French oak and peated. Yeah, okay. Which impact part? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. All right, so let's see what this one's about. I'll give you a pass on not having Johnny Walker Red on the wheel today because it's a celebration stream, but it should be there normally. I didn't think to set this up in time. I have, Plinko, right? Well, I have a thing called Drinko. And the idea was going to be that anytime somebody super chatted, I would drop a thing on there and I was going to have just one Johnny Walker Red in the middle. And if it landed in there, boom, and then refill it. We'll see where the stream takes us, but that's possible that'll still happen. Okay, so on the smell here, it smells a little young. It smells like a young peated, honestly, like a young peated Scotch. Oh no, it does smell malty. It doesn't smell like a Scotch because it's not really light enough for that. It smells like an American single malt that's peated. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. All right, cheers, everybody. Yeah, I can't say I love that one. We'll see if it grows on me. Bleh. I don't think it's going to. Yeah, I can't say I like that. What is that flavor other than bad? Somebody sent me this. I feel a little bad if, somebody obviously likes this. I don't like this very much. Huh. What is that? I want to give you something so you can feel this with me. Oppidan. It's so not great. I have some tasting notes here, but they don't match any of it. I guess maybe Oceanic is coming. It almost tastes a little bit like seaweed. Maybe a little bit, but not like iodine. I would usually kind of put those two in the same, even though they're not quite the same. But I guess seaweed is probably the best thing I can say. And I don't know if you ever had seaweed chips. There's some weird people out there that like those things. Those are disgusting. So, hot take, right? Anyway. Okay. So, this was a fun one. In 2017 was the first time I ever received a free bottle, which was from Crown Royal. Actually, I think I might have reached out to them, but maybe not. I don't know. This is the same year in 2017, I believe, is when they got their 2016 they won World Whiskey Awards or whatever. The best whiskey in the world was the Northern Harvest Rye, and I think that might be why I reached out to them. And then I was just like, hey, can I have this because I can't find it in my area? And then they sent me a regular Crown Royal, the black, and then the rye. The Northern Harvest Rye. I would be interested to taste that now. I haven't seen it in a very long time. I'm not even sure if they still make it, but I liked it a lot when I first tried it. It would make an interesting episode to try a whole bunch of whiskeys that I was given by brands now, and see what I thought of them. But I can say with as much honesty as I think a person can have that I tried my hardest not to be swayed throughout these last 10 years by anything I got for free. In fact, there were multiple times where I did not review a thing because I did not like it. And that was always my deal that I had with the brands is I will happily take your stuff for free, but if I don't like it, I won't do a video on it. And that's just the risk you're going to have to take because I'm not going to publicly shame you for something I choose I don't like that you gave me for free. That feels kind of crappy, right? Let's see. Oh, yeah. No, Ben. Happy Tank 10. Thank you so much for great videos. Great balance between history and review. You don't make them sound like you're in love with your own voice. Well, thank you. I'm guessing it's been plus or minus 40 years since I've had any Johnny Walker Red. I'm guessing it hasn't improved any. Might actually be even worse. From everything I understand, it is worse. Late to the game, but glad you made it. Glad I made it. Happy 10-year anniversary. Thank you, Triax. Let's see. I'm drinking Northern Harvest Rye. Okay, awesome. What do you think, Cliff? Is it good? Like, is it enjoyable? Some seaweed is relatively inoffensive till no reason to consume it. Yeah. Now, the only time I don't mind tasting seaweed if I accidentally swim through some while I'm diving. That's about it. Yeah. I'm probably not going to finish this glass. It's getting a little bit less offensive, but it's not great. And then the last thing from 2017 is I did my first my first product review, which was the Whiskey Globe Decanter. Now, that was sent to me by some random place on Amazon, and something that I would say, and actually, if anybody out there has their own whiskey YouTube channel, something I would encourage you not to do is work with any Amazon sellers unless you truly actually like the product. They're kind of like this in between, and they like a lot of Amazon sellers, they don't make the product. They just find the product, and then they're the go-between. If you actually really like something, either you can work with your Amazon affiliate. Chances are they're just going to give you the product for free. It's not going to involve any money or anything like that. But more likely, you should just go to the manufacturer of the actual product if they're a store. Not everybody is. Sometimes it's like a distributor, and they don't care. They just give it off to the Amazon associates, and that's fine too. But if you're ever looking to do this, like, just be very careful of working with Amazon people, because chances are they have nothing. They have no like buy-in to the product other than does it sell or not. And you're just going to get a free product out of it. So the Globe Decanter was cool. I thought it looked great. I did end up, I think, either giving mine away or maybe trashing it after probably 4 or 5 years, but it looked wonderful on top of the bar for a long time. I thought it was a pretty cool piece. And that was part of the reason I agreed to do it on the channel at all. One thing that's nice, like, I've always run this channel as its own business, and I've tried to make the channel itself pay for everything that the channel does. The only thing that's happened, unfortunately, recently is all of the single barrels I did. I'm personally in the hole for a little bit of money, which is part of the reason I've been pushing them a bit lately. So if you are interested, I would love it if you guys would go to whiskeydickpics.com and purchase some single barrels. But aside from that, the channel has always run itself, and it's always paid for itself. But anyway, all right, I don't know where I was going with that. All right, 2018. So in 2018, I released 78 videos, which is about almost twice as many as the previous year, including 26 live streams, which was 14 more than the previous year. So 2018 was a huge year for me. I did a lot of stuff. 2019 was bigger, but in 2018 was when a lot of fun stuff started happening for me. I met a lot more whiskey tubers, not necessarily in person, but just became friendly with them. I reached out. I started having them on my stream. I was on their stream. It felt a lot more like a community than maybe it does right now. But in 2018, I hit 10,000 subscribers on February 19th. I started Irish Whiskey Month in 2018, which has become, I would say that's one of the things that I think I'm the most proud of. It's not like it was an original idea, but I've been very consistent with Irish Whiskey Month, and people reference it in their own videos now. And I'm not arrogant enough to say, like, I started Irish Whiskey Month, because I didn't like find the idea from anywhere, but I'm sure somebody had that thought. Like, it's March, it's Irish Whiskey Month, right? But it seemed like such an obvious thing to me. I just started referring to it as that. Anyway, so I started Irish Whiskey Month 2018, and it started off with the Irish coffee video, which Steve was actually referencing earlier, where I think I might have made my Irish coffee. No, I was making Irish coffee, and I was referring to Booker's, and I was just like, Booker's, right? It's worth watching. You guys should check that one out. So then there was the Glendalough Double Barrel, and then Tullamore Dew, and then another whiskey called Flaming Leprechaun. And this was another whiskey I ended up getting for free. It was kind of like a cinnamon whiskey, but it wasn't flavored. It was, or at least not that I remember, because I've always had it on this channel where I would never do like flavored whiskeys. They're not legally whiskey. And I just didn't want to go that route. So anyway, so those are the 4 whiskeys I did with the first Irish Whiskey Month. I also started my craft distillery series with a company called Sons of Liberty. And then I also put out my first batch of coins, which were the ones that said I Heart Booker's. You'd had a long night drinking Booker's on Malton in Montreal stream the night before. That's what it was. Woke up to the next bottle of Johnny Walker Red. Man, I wish I would have grabbed that video clip. That's funny. Bill in a Leo Reach sun hat is hilarious. What? Who's talking about me in a sun hat? Oh, leprechaun hat. Okay. Yes. No, I've worn many a leprechaun hat. So I put out my first batch of coins, and then I liked this. I also had the Old Pulteney 1983. So in 2018, I turned 35. And in my mind, I was like, this is the last year I'm ever going to be able to buy a whiskey that is my age without spending just a stupid amount of money on it. And 35-year-old whiskeys were already kind of a stupid amount of money. I had one in mind that was maybe like $300, and that's what I was going to buy. And then this guy, he was one of my patrons. Again, I'll just keep his name secret for whatever reason. He reached out and he was like, I would like to buy you a bottle for your 35th birthday if you haven't gotten yourself one yet. And I said, nope, I haven't. And he shipped me the Old Pulteney 1983, which I did look it up. It was a $650 bottle. I'm sure it's far more than that now. And that was so good. It was the oldest by far whiskey I had ever had. And I remember just being like, this is one of the best whiskeys I could possibly ever have. And I still remember it that fondly. I'm sure it probably is still a fantastic whiskey. Flaming Leprechaun is one of the names of my many cousins. He tried to light a peep at Easter time. Well, that sounds fun. Anyway, so then, and then 2018, okay, this was a big one. The Proper 12 video came out. And let me tell you, I want to talk about the Proper 12 video. So Proper 12, for those of you who don't know, is an Irish whiskey made by Bushmills, and it was promoted by Conor McGregor, the UFC fighter. And it was a huge success for Conor McGregor. I think he made like $1 billion off of it, and then he removed himself as the spokesperson for it. However, when I learned that this was going to be a thing, let's say it was a Monday night, I learned about this, and I was like, I need to have this whiskey because he's fighting on Saturday. And if I can get my video out before that fight on Saturday, this will do really well. So I want to say Monday night, I reached out to Proper 12 and I said, I would like a bottle of this. This is my plan. I want to have it out before the before the fight. Is there any way you can get it to me? Because I can't find it in my area. And I looked. I went to like 4 different places. And they overnighted it to me, and I had it Tuesday afternoon. And then I filmed it, and I put it out on Wednesday, like at noon. And I believe if I wasn't the first video out, I was definitely one of the first. And what's more important is I was the only person who didn't trash it. And when I say trash, I mean like most people were cruel about this thing, which somebody a very long time ago, when I think one of the first negative reviews I really ever gave to a whiskey, they said something to the effect of like, I don't ever want to talk that poorly about something that somebody actually worked really hard to make. And that resounded with me. Like, it's verbatim, but the concept is true. Like, there are a lot of people who go into making these whiskeys, and just because they come out bad doesn't mean that it wasn't for lack of trying. Like, somebody really put effort into this. So I kept that in mind when I made my review. And I gave a lot of facts about it. I talked about it a little bit. I gave some nosing and tasting notes, very minor, but to be fair, there's very minor nosing and tasting notes on that whiskey. And then at the end, I said something to the effect of like, this would go really good in ginger ale, because I made myself find something to do with it. Like, what could you use this for? And that was what I decided on. So that helped. And a lot of people loved that I wasn't trashing it. And that video exploded for me. It's currently sitting almost at 700,000 views. It got me, I want to say 16,000 subscribers in about a week, or maybe in about a month, let's say a month. But I remember being at work and my video was just going nuts, and my phone was going constantly, just ring, 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 buzz, buzz, buzz. And I was just watching my subscriber count just move in real time, and it was so much fun to watch. And it makes me realize how addictive having a viral video could be. And this thing was shared all over the place. Like, people were watching this video like crazy. And in 2018, yes, of course, there's tons of videos making millions of views, but getting like 1 million views on a video was still pretty rare in 2018. So the fact that it got up that high, it got to like 500,000 within like probably 3 months, which absolutely gigantic. So a lot of people know me from that. The one downside, and this is something I would warn any other YouTubers about, is that when you have a video do that well, those people tend not to come back and watch anything else. They subscribe to you because they just clicked the button, I guess. And then they are like, oh, I wonder if all he does is talk about whiskeys put out by UFC fighters. Maybe that's my core audience. But obviously that's not a thing. So anyway, those people like never really watch the videos. So even though my number of subscribers is like almost 65,000 at the moment, a good chunk of those probably have never watched 2 videos on my channel. Anyway, I leaned toward blah, blah, blah. Given the quality of that first batch, it deserved to be trashed. Yes, the first batch was pretty terrible. Have to say thanks for your Irish whiskey month. You've expanded my whiskey selection by a lot. Now have an entire shelf of Irish. Awesome, Sly Fox. Also, you have helped in several good bourbon selections as well. Nice. Old Pulteney would be something I'd love to try sometime for sure. What a gift. Yeah, it was an awesome gift for sure. Okay, so all right, then for live streams. Now this was interesting. I don't think I grabbed a clip of it. Let me just double check. No, I didn't. So it's weird. I tried to download the live stream and it said it was going to take 3 hours, and I'm not sure why. But I did my first live stream in 2018 with Chad and Sarah from It's Bourbon Night. This was back when they were fairly small. I want to say they had like 5,000 subscribers. So they were a very small channel. And it's funny. I started the video off pretty much just being like, you know, you guys are doing great. You're exploding. You're growing really fast. And I'm sure it's all because Chad just looks like Chris Pratt. And it was funny because Sarah kind of like, she looked a little bit surprised, and then she's like, he does look like Chris Pratt. So, it was a funny moment, but, yeah, let's see. That was a good one. And then I also went to Crowded Barrel for the first time in 2018. Now I was looking through my video collection, and I'm sure a lot of you remember that first time that I streamed from La Quinta. I actually didn't do that the first time I went. I did that the second time I went. And I was surprised because maybe I just didn't have all the stuff I needed to really do that well. But it was a fun time. Obviously going to Crowded Barrel was a highlight of like everything I've done here in the last 10 years. It was really, really fun to go meet a whole bunch of fans, get to hang out with Rex and Daniel, go to the whiskey room, or the whiskey vault, and just kind of meet a lot of other YouTubers, and just everything about it was awesome. And it was a fun vacation too. And drinking at La Quinta was definitely the highlight of the whole thing. Many of you brought really, really fun whiskeys. I've talked about La Quinta at length, but it is something I'm probably going to think about my whole life as just a really, really fun time. Maybe the third time I went, where I had to break down my own door and I was bleeding all over the place, that might have been a little different, but maybe we'll talk about that in a little bit. I don't know if Molly, if you're still in the, I don't know if you're still in the chat, but Molly and I did a live stream where we ended up, of course, I don't have like any, no, what is, oh, I don't have like any real, I don't have good notes here as to which videos I wanted to show. Molly and I did a video. Oh, she's here. Perfect. A live stream. It was like a 4-hour live stream to raise money for diabetes, type 1 diabetes specifically. And she was great. Molly, we still talk about this fairly often, where I think it was the very first whiskey that she drank on stream was an Ardbeg 10, and she liked it. So Molly at that point had earned my eternal respect, and I was very, very pleased. We ended up stopping the night with we moved into a different room, and Molly and myself and my friends Jean, Dave, and Christina were all hanging out in my living room, and we were having some whiskeys. We were talking, and people were donating. It was really, really cool. And I remember distinctly, I think it was Molly's mom had donated to the channel in order to make me drink Johnny Walker Red. So I'm not sure where she got that idea, probably from other people in the chat. Maybe she said something like, what's the worst thing I could make Bill drink or something? But either way, she decided to make me drink Johnny Walker Red, paid well for it. And I did, and it was awful, and it ended up stopping the stream. So I also remember a 4-hour live stream is a long time, and it was actually exhausting to just drink for 4 hours heavily. And as soon as I hit like end stream, I remember just like laying down on the ground and being like, I'm just going to be here for a little while. So, Bad decisions and regret. Yes, that's right. It tasted like bad decisions and regret. Johnny Red is terrible. Oh, this is great. We would never give anyone that idea. Yeah, no, of course not. You guys are wonderful. Okay, so we ended up raising over $2,000, which was very, very good, and that was all from you guys. I did some giveaways and everything, but like many of you and a bunch of other people that you would have recognized back in the day, they donated to the stream. So it was really fun to raise $2,000. It's crazy to see like Adriana now raising like 40 grand for what is it, Alzheimer's. Just knowing how hard I worked for that $2,000 and seeing she raises 40,000, like it just speaks to how awesome her and the Women of Whiskey and all of them that put on that show are. So, you know, if Adriana, if you ever see this, like I'm very in awe of you. Okay, here's the part that you guys have all been waiting for. So, although you didn't necessarily know it, in 2018 was another infamous clip.
This bar back here, it's that one right there that I have open.
Beautiful.
It's a real. You know what? I'm going to show you guys. Check it out.
Yes.
Let's see the
Yes.
clip.
Yes. Let's
Yes.
show us.
Right.
Is he wearing Batman boxers?
He's switched back to the Batman pants.
Hey,
Look like switch
Zelda
fans.
is so
Zelda.
much better than Batman.
He has Zelda pants on.
Bill.
Oh,
Help over.
Be honest, Zelda is the best video game ever made.
Yeah, totally.
Wait, Jason, did your barrel say something
Yeah, it was
earlier?
Wild Turkey earlier.
Okay, it did say wild turkey. I'm not
Fucking bar.
psychotic.
All right. So just to give a little bit of context for those that don't know, because you might have no clue what's happening here. So we used to do these crazy live streams, and I'll get back to the clip in just a second because I realize this is torturous. We used to do these crazy live streams. There were a number of whiskey tubers, and we had this group, and we would do them frequently together, and it was awesome. We had a lot of whiskey at this point. I believe this was a 3.5 hour long live stream, and we were all drinking a lot. And this was obviously in my kitchen. I do know that my family was home and they were asleep, and it was probably like 10:30 or maybe even 11 o'clock at night. And I wanted to show off my bar. This bar is cool, and it opens up. And apparently that was all the encouragement I needed to tell everybody about it. I am wearing pants with Batman symbols all over them, and I believe that's all the context that you need.
This is the coolest bar ever, right? So
It's on wheels?
He's in the piano band.
Let Bill talk.
Bill has just gone off the wheels. I love
He's
it.
scratching the holy shit out of his hardwood floors, and his wife's gonna murder him tomorrow.
Holy shit. What is he doing? Bill,
Hey guys,
no.
what'd you guys do Friday? Oh, hung out with my
I
friends.
don't think I'm close enough to the
Bill,
so
Bill, just move the camera close.
move the camera, Bill.
Bill, your wife's gonna murder you. Don't do it.
No,
Bring the camera
here we go,
closer.
here we go.
Okay.
Hold on.
Yeah, move the camera.
All right, watch this. All right, so
I have
don't
anxiety.
don't talk for a sec, just
Oh God.
so that I can
All right,
maintain
here we
the
go.
camera thing. Don't make a sound. All right. So the bar is back there. I watch what it does. It's so cool. So check this out. It lifts up like this, and then it makes a freaking bar. Do you see that? You guys see that? So I can.
Bill, turn
Your
on the
wife's
light.
gonna kick your ass.
I love everything about the dynamic of that video. It was like Jason was cracking up at me. Sam was trying so hard to make me not like ruin my marriage. Chris was just laughing. Eric was trying to be like the dad who's like Bill, turn on your light. Like he was trying to give me like legitimate advice. And then everybody was just trying not to laugh so that StreamYard wouldn't recognize their voice and focus on them on the stream. That's why everybody was like covering their mouth and laughing. Oh man, that was so funny. I didn't see, Bill. You could repeat that 4 or 5 more times. and meanwhile, me, like I was hammered, right? I'm not even gonna pretend. And I'm just, look at my bar. Do you see? Like I don't know what the hell was going through my head. Oh man, that was so funny. So funny. All right. How do I move on from there, right? Oh, actually, yeah. So this was something else I wanted to show. So in 2018, we also, a lot of the streams that we did, we ended up doing, I did like crazy thumbnails for most of them. But like I said, we did a lot of streams together. I think this one might have been the one that you just watched with the moving of the bar. And then, okay, yeah. So those are all the crazy things. So in 2019, I released 93 videos. That's crazy. That was like one every 3.5 days. And I did 30 lives. So I think I ended up doing, wow. Actually, this wasn't even the Whiskey Trivia year. I'm not sure how I managed to get that many videos out, but it was a lot. Batman PJs were the icing on the top of the cake. Yeah, for sure. Yes, the Highland Park 15 was fantastic, Jason. That one was good. It took me forever to finish that one because I didn't want to. So all right, so I ended up making that maple bourbon chili recipe in 2019, which has been made by countless people. Like people they comment on that video still fairly frequently, probably like a few times a year. I just made this. It's so good. Like it is very, very good. I was traveling to San Diego pretty frequently at the time for my job. So I am a director of software engineering. I have teams in multiple places. One of those places is California. And we used to have an office out there, which has since closed, but I still have the same people. And I used to travel over there once every other month, which meant I had to film out there too. So I would travel with all of my camera equipment because I'd be out there for like a week, or maybe there were a few times I went for 2 weeks. And I was like, if I have all this time, I should film like crazy. And then all I have to do is edit and I can be like more present, like less devoted to the channel. So I ended up traveling to San Diego pretty frequently, and I ended up doing my first distillery visit, which was to the San Diego distillery. Now, San Diego distillery it's still open. I went and looked. I haven't noticed like if they have a new location or anything, but it was eye-opening to me because it was the first time I did a video like where I went to a distillery and filmed. And the people who owned it, I apologize, I can't remember their names at the moment. They were extremely friendly. They ended up giving me basically the entire second half of their day. I think I got there right after work. It was like 5 o'clock, maybe 5:30. And then I was there until like 10:30 or so. And we filmed for like 3 or 4 hours. And then we also hung around and just drank and talked. And there were two owners. It was a husband and wife. And the husband, he like played guitar, so he was just playing his guitar while we're drinking and like trying stuff out of these little quarter barrels. And what was cool about San Diego Distillery is that they do whiskeys that they age in quarter barrels from the various different craft breweries that are in the area. So they had like 100 different quarter barrels, and they were all different. And he's just like, oh yeah, like every one of these is going to be amazing. And everything I tasted from there proved that. If you ever get a chance to buy anything from them, my guess is it's probably going to be pretty good. But it's been a few years, but I would guess it's been pretty good. I ended up doing the batch 2 set of coins as well. Those are the ones that were the brown logo. What did it say on the back? I actually don't remember. I think I know it said like in Dic we trust somewhere on there, but I liked that. And then I also did the Boston Harbor Distillery, which has since turned over both the head distiller and the woman that I ended up doing the tour with. So it's much different. By the way, I'm getting thirsty. I think we need to do another Wheel of Doom. So let's do this. All right, let's see. Let me pour this. I don't know why I'm covering it. It shouldn't be. All right, so this one's Driftless Glen Rye, batch 10. It's 48%. And let's see what I have about this. So, Driftless Glen. So, produced by Driftless Glen Distillery in Baraboo, Wisconsin. This rye whiskey is made using locally sourced grains. They emphasize traditional methods, grain to glass, blah, blah, blah. New charred American oak barrels. Showcases the unique terroir of the Driftless region, known for its unglaciated terrain and rich agricultural heritage. Okay. I mean, that's kind of cool. All right, let's see. Sounds like you rigged it, Jim. What was this? Another one of my samples? Did you rig this thing, Bill? Oh, you know what I think? You know what it is? You gave me a lot of like tall bottles, and I think I must just keep picking them. But whatever, I'll get to a lot of these. Either way, thank you. So, it definitely smells like a rye. Little minty. Caramel, vanilla. A lot of common stuff. The nose is like, you smell it and you're like, this is a rye. That's nothing crazy on the nose, but let's see how the taste is. Cheers, everybody. That's good. Ooh, I like that a lot. It tastes like almost like a darker, like a, what is it? Like a toasted rye. Like there was one by Corsair. It was like dark rye or dark something rye. I think it was dark rye. Either way, it tastes very heavy and like nice. I would not guess this is 46. I would guess it was higher. 48, sorry. I would still guess it was higher, maybe 50, maybe 52. It drinks nice. The legs on it, not that I really ever look at that, are fairly like distinct, which leads me to think it's a heavier whiskey. Either way, I like the flavor of this one a lot. Thank you. All right. So, okay. Then a couple of other quick things for 2019. I did all the Game of Thrones videos, which they did really well. I actually still have a few of those bottles hanging around. Some of the worse ones, like the Klein Leash, I think was not fantastic. And then, all right. And then I ended up doing
this bar
video.
back here. It's
Whoops,
that one.
sorry, not that one, although I would totally watch that again. I did another thing for Irish Whiskey Month.
Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. I wanted to start my day off right with a traditional Irish breakfast of Lucky Charms and Jameson. So, I'm just gonna, walk you through how to properly prepare this. First, you pour your Lucky Charms, delicious. Then you pour in your Jameson. Oh yeah. Then you dig in.
Oh man, I committed. Oh, I went back.
It's magically delicious.
Of course.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Oh man. I love that. And of course, this entire commitment, regret journey in 30 seconds flat. Yeah. This was that video was fantastic because I filmed it to be funny, but like the ending where I went off camera and was just like, oh my god, like that was natural, and I just left it in because how could that be better? I have the unfortunate experience of trying oatmeal together with scotch. Oh my god, with scotch. I can't imagine what that tastes like. Yeah, sorry, pinch hitter. I did not like that Oppidan. I did end up drinking all of those in my glass, so it wasn't as bad as what my initial reaction was, but it didn't get better. Back when Bill streamed Friday evenings when everyone's around and able to stay up forever. Yeah, that helped. Whiskey porridge is a thing? No, it's not. I believe you, but I refuse to believe. All right, so in 2020, we're moving along to 2020. Now, this was my biggest year as far as video releases, by one. So in 2020, obviously COVID was a thing, so I had a lot more time. I released 128 videos and 24 live streams. Now, at this point, I was counting videos because what I was doing also is I was releasing like first taste videos for the patrons. And those are all still available, by the way. But like I was releasing first taste videos. I was doing like these weekly update videos. I was just filming a lot, even though not all of it was on the public YouTube channel. So this is the year I first introduced the whiskey, the 2020 whiskey challenge, right? Where I challenged everybody to try to drink whiskeys that they had never had, and all different types of whiskeys, all different styles. And I made this first year fairly challenging. And the idea was that if you finished, you submit your little form that you filled out, and then you were entered into a drawing. And I think I ended up giving out like $100, $75, and $50 gift cards to the first, second, third place people that were chosen randomly. And I did that a few years. I did it in 2020, 2021, and then I think again 2023. In 2023, it didn't get a ton of people doing it, so I think that's when I stopped it. But that was a fun one. Bill live from the shower on the Crusader stream was interesting. Yeah, I wanted to go find that, but I also didn't want to go find that. So I didn't go find that. But there are live streams of myself in hot tubs over in San Diego as well. So those are easy enough to find. Okay, so I did the whiskey challenge. I did my first versus episode, which was Elijah Craig Barrel Proof versus Larceny Barrel Proof. I'm pretty sure Elijah Craig won. I also started in this studio, and no, I started in the brick studio, brick background studio with the Beginner's Guide to Whiskey, which that one did pretty well as well. I also released Bill's Bourbon Coffee, which many of you guys bought. Actually, I was shocked how well that did. It felt like every month I was getting kickbacks that I was like, this is still fantastic income. I really probably should have done more, but I liked to explore different things rather than just being like, hey guys, I also made new coffee and I made new coffee and you should buy new coffee. I don't know. New and unique is probably more along our lines. So I also filmed the Which is the Worst, Johnny Walker Red, Proper 12, or Black Velvet. Do you guys remember which one lost? I'd be interested to see in the chat if you guys remember which one was the worst. Johnny Walker Red, Proper 12, or Black Velvet. Let's see. I started doing the first taste published to Patreon. I mentioned that earlier. I started doing Tuesday Trivias as well. This was the year that I was like, I want to try to start having more videos. I think I had seen a lot of success in 2019. And then with 2020, I had more time and I was like, more videos will equal more time. So let's try to do that. Let's see. People are guessing. Wasn't it Black Velvet? Red. Almost has to be red. I thought Johnny Walker Red was at least won that fight. All right. So the worst one in that round, I hate to admit it, Black Velvet was the worst. Proper 12 was the second worst. And Johnny Walker Red was the best. And that hurt my soul a lot to have to admit on a video. But it was. And it came out first and it was by a long shot too. Like it wasn't even close. So I guess they did one thing right. Excuse me. So then I let's see. Did Tuesday Trivia. Those were really fun. I ran out of questions fairly quickly. In today's world with like ChatGPT, I probably could do an infinite amount of Tuesday Trivias. But anyway, at the time I more just like I thought of a whole bunch of them and then I would like research, and it was taking a lot of time for a small amount of videos. People enjoyed them, but it also was like, YouTube's a weird thing. You would think that putting out videos that a lot of people watch would be the right move, but no, they want videos that a lot of people watch for a long time because they want to be able to show multiple ads. And that's what makes it tough. So the Tuesday Trivias were like a minute long. And so it actually hurt my channel to release those. And I ended up stopping after a few months. All right. So then I did the bourbon barrel aged.
Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody.
I don't think I got a video of this. I ended up doing the bourbon barrel aged maple syrup. And I know I talked about that earlier. That was a fun one. I really enjoyed filming there. If you guys ever get back to it or if you missed it, that's a good video to go back to. I do have to say, unfortunately, the guy that like I was working with, he was kind of boring on camera, and it's not his job to be entertaining on camera, so it's not really a slight against him. But unfortunately, I needed him for all of the information, and it was very hard to make him be interesting. So a lot of that video is unfortunately kind of like a droning on about like how to make maple syrup, which I found interesting, but I can totally understand that other people might not. So I tried to make it more interesting by having like drone footage and B-roll and like talking about maple syrup or whatever else, but it's still I didn't expect that video to do as very well, and unfortunately it still didn't. Okay, and then I ended up having Wild Turkey Rare Breed. I did that year as well, which I am fairly certain. Yes. Nope. There it is. All right, let's do this. I really like these videos where I film some sort of like an intro. Now this is behind my house in the winter. There's a creek, and me flying over this creek was a little sketchy.
What day is it? Turkey hunt. Today is the day. Turkey hunt. Let's bag us a rare breed. All All right, everybody, we are gonna go hunt us some turkey. All right, so I've been out here a couple of hours. I just spotted the rare breed over there. Let's see if we can get him. Woohoo!
Acting.
That's kill. Woo, we got ourselves a good one. So this here is the wild turkey.
So whoops, I shouldn't have stopped it, whatever. I ended up taping an arrow to the bottle, so it looked like I had shot it through. Everything about that video was super fun to film, and I loved everything about it. It was awesome, and I have no complaints. Except that at the time, I didn't really like rare breed, so I got to all the way to the end of all of that, and then I think I gave it like a try it. Now, ever since, I have come to learn to like rare breed a lot more, but, you know, I maintain that when I first tried it, and I would think maybe when some people who are not super experienced with whiskey first try it, they might not love it either. But it's one worth continuing to stick with because you probably will learn to love it. Blue is just stupid for what? Yeah, okay. Oh, we're talking about Johnny Walker. All right, cool. Totally agree. Blah, blah, blah. It's really good. Okay, yeah. All right, so then 2021, shockingly, I had 127 videos, 17 live videos, and really nothing all that interesting. So, meaning like no new experiences. The only thing I did that was new was Top 5 Fridays, which I think I only did for like two or 3 months. The idea was I came up with a whole bunch of lists of top 5 things. And it was like, 5 ways to get the cork out of your bottle if it breaks, or 5 bourbons for non-bourbon drinkers, or whatever else there are. And I just wrote them out, and I filmed them one after another, and I released them on Fridays, and it was great. And I was doing my reviews like earlier in the week or whatever else. I was trying to do more and more videos. So I did 127 videos that year and 17 live streams. Now, another thing I didn't really go too much in, because I did mention La Quinta early on. I went to La Quinta 3 different times. I went to Crowded Barrel 3 different times. And each time, we stayed at the same hotel, and we had a lot of fun. We all drank whiskey or whatever else. So I kind of didn't put that back in here because I knew I would talk about it earlier. All right. I don't want to stay too long on that. All right. 2022. See you later, Ben. Nice to see you. All right. In 2022, we're getting close to the end here. I didn't realize that this would take quite so long, which is fine with me. In 2022, I did my first barrel pick, which was 3-chord bourbon. And something to show, well, when you saw my whiskey room earlier, you would have seen it. Actually, sorry, I need to check one thing real quick. I'm going a little bit longer than I expected, which is fine with me. I just, I want to make sure of something here. Okay, cool. I wanted to make sure that nobody was trying to get a hold of me. So in 2022, I did my first barrel pick, which was a 3-chord bourbon, and boy, was that a good whiskey. It reminded me a lot of the 1920 from Old Forester, and I loved everything about it. I actually bought myself a few bottles of it as well. And I have an unopened one up there, as well as a 3/4 empty one. And then I have one on my wall here that's on a barrel head that I kind of put together as a trophy frame thing. I also did the Weller Special Reserve, which I love this picture that happened. I don't quite remember how exactly this came to be. I think the cover fell off, but this was that video I did where I was blending a potato and pretty much just calling it tater juice. And it exploded all over the place. Unfortunately, that didn't make it into the video, but it did make the thumbnail. Okay, so then I went to Tamworth Distillery, and I got that whiskey that was made from crab water. Do you remember that one? That is one of the weirdest whiskeys I've ever tried, and I've had everybody try it, and it just tastes like seafood in a whiskey. Yeah, the 3-chord pick was very good. I'm really a big fan. But the crab pot whiskey, I hide that back here. That way nobody ever asks to have it. Because I'd rather just kind of give it to him as a fun surprise. So this was Crab Trapper, green crab flavored whiskey. And it's an invasive species of crab in New Hampshire or Rhode Island. I think New Hampshire. And they just get them by the thousands. They cook them. They can't really use the crab for meat because there's just not enough meat on them. But then they use the water as what they end up proofing down the whiskey with or something like that. So yeah, everything about it is just weird, but it was weird, but it was also fun. I ended up doing the whole distillery tour, but I also filmed with one of the people who works there in a creek. Like we were in the water behind the distillery and just like in chairs in the water. It was kind of fun. I also did, so I did this as well. Kind of joked about Wild Turkey Pumpkin Spice. Why is that not playing? Oh, sorry. Hold on.
Wild Turkey trolls real bourbon fans with phony pumpkin spice flavored whiskey ad. I wonder what that would be like.
I really like the videos that I film.
If Wild Turkey wants to play games, that's fine. I'll play.
Oh yeah. Tasted better than it looks.
The hell? Cheers.
I feel like I'm afraid to say how I feel, to know I let you down. 'Cause late nights turn to days, don't wanna let you down.
Oh, that's my dog.
With each breath we give away, it'll never be the same.
Oh yeah, I sacrificed that bottle for the joke. Yeah, and it was great. Like it actually, honestly, it was not the worst thing I had ever had, and I did end up finishing the bottle. So, all right, let's go for one more Wheel of Doom here, and then we're gonna go on to kind of this next section, which is a little bit more fun for you guys, a little bit more audience engagement. I'm gonna pick a smaller bottle here. Let's go down deep. There we go. Ooh, okay, yeah, sure. So this is a Hazelburn, 10-year-old. I'm game for that. Sounds like a good way to move on. Isn't Tamworth the same distillery that makes the Beaver Gland whiskey? They sure are. They also make a few other weird ones too. What a waste of a good bottle of bourbon. Should have poured just a tiny splash into the Glen and then mixed it there. No, man, because I was making pumpkin spice bourbon. And, I mean, like I said, I drank the whole thing, so it didn't go to waste. I was kind of aware of that, like, because I don't like to waste stuff. Like, even in my regular life, I'm like obsessive about not wasting meat. Like, I will not throw meat away. Which actually works out really good with, like, the whole dad tax thing. Like, I've eaten off my kids' plates a lot, clearly. All right. So then 2023 rolled around. I drastically cut how many videos I was doing, down to 42 videos and 13 live streams. I ended up introducing the 3-minute videos, which obviously I love those videos. They kind of hit that same problem with YouTube that we were talking about earlier, where shorter videos end up kind of hurting your channel. But at that point, I was kind of like, I don't care. This is good information. And I feel like people need to understand how whiskey is different between all of the different categories. So I believe I've finished all of them at this point. I think I've done all of the different styles. I ended up making that What Haunts Your Whiskey video that I talked about earlier. I ended up doing 3 more barrel picks, which I did the barrel one from the Apricot Affair. Excuse me, which that one was fantastic. I actually ended up, I kind of got a little drunk on that bottle the other night playing video games. I poured like 5 of them, and then suddenly I was like, oh, I better go to bed. So that was fun. That one sold out. But then I also have the Starward Radiant Red Solera and the Stellum Rye R2D8. Now, picking a barrel of whiskey is... I'm not going to spend too much time on this because I've talked about it a lot. You can find all these at whiskeydickpicks.com. Steve, I see that you're posting that in the chat. Thank you very much. These are all available. But picking a bottle of whiskey or a barrel of whiskey is a really fun experience because you get to try a whole bunch of stuff and then pick your favorite. So it's inherently going to match what you like the most. And I've always said that there's a lot of whiskey tubers out there nowadays. It's always good to find the one that matches your flavor profile the most, because then whatever they suggest is probably something that you're going to like. So if somebody picks a barrel pick, like, you're probably going to love that barrel pick, you know? And it's a fun responsibility from my point of view, because of course you get to try a whole bunch of whiskeys, but you also get to try things that you think to yourself, boy, this distiller was trying to pull one over on me and make me pick a crappy barrel. Which there were a couple of them that you get. And I remember sending some back, or not sending it back, but going back to them and being like, everything you sent me was terrible. Send me more. And they do. They're happy to do it. So, all right, this one is Hazelburn 10. Let's see what we've got here. So obviously Hazelburn. Hold on. So Hazelburn is put out by the same people who make oh my gosh, Springbank and Longrow, I believe. I think all three of those come out of the same distillery. Oh, sorry, never mind. Smells really, really, really good. A lot sweeter than I was expecting, actually. Usually with Campbelltown, I just expect something very different than what I'm getting here on the nose. Tropical, kind of fruity. Very sweet. Very, very sweet. All right. Cheers, everybody. Oh, absolutely delicious. I didn't have much of that one left. The finish on that, really good. It's almost a little bit as if it was like a charred barrel or something like that. Not really smoky, but also not really that funk that you get with Springbank. There's just something different there. Hazelburn is not one I have a lot of experience with, and frankly, I don't have a whole lot of experience with anything from Campbelltown. I've had several of them, but it's not something I'd say like I've had a lot of them. But either way, that's a delicious whiskey. I would definitely drink that all day. I'd be interested to see what some of their older versions are. Let's see. Okay. And then 2024, the only real thing I did there that I wanted to point out, I did 37 videos. I had probably my worst year ever on the channel as far as putting things out. I was definitely feeling a little burnt out in 2023 and 2024. I made tons of videos the previous few years, and it was hard to find things that people wanted to watch. Doing reviews has been fine, but since COVID, there's just been so many whiskey channels, and a lot of them produce shorts, and the shorts are things that people are like really, really into. So putting out longer form videos, which is what I've always done, hasn't been performing as well the last few years. And it's been discouraging. You watch your view count be like considerably less than it used to be, and the next video becomes harder to make and harder and harder and harder. And that's kind of leans into that burnout. So in 2023, 2024, and 2025, although this year's a little different, we'll talk about that. 2024, the only one I really did that I wanted to do was the Halloween episode with Johnny Walker Red. It was like a 40-second video. And I loved that because I had wanted to make that video since like 2018. And I was like, I need to make this year. I made myself do it. And I liked it. And it was exactly what I hoped it would be. And it was silly and it was stupid and it was fun. Now in 2025, I really wanted to get all the videos that I've been like, I kind of reformed, right? Like I was like, all right, making review videos hasn't been working the last couple of years. Let's try something totally different. A lot of people come to my channel for the first time to learn, right? So then they watch a lot of my informational videos. Maybe they watch some of my review videos, and then they tend to go to other whiskey tuber channels that are like only about bourbon or only about scotch or only about whatever. And that's fine. I'm okay being like that gateway because a lot of people will be like, you were some of the first videos I watched, and that's a cool thing to hear. But in 2025, I was like, I want to do more of those videos. So you've probably noticed I've been putting out like 4 videos a week. And a lot of them have been, well, it's been like 2 full-length videos, a short, and then a live stream. Now I haven't done as many live streams as everything else. The last couple of weeks I've kind of skipped them because they're just not always available to do them. But I've put out 24 videos already this year, including today's live stream. 24 videos plus 7 live streams, including today. And last year I put out 37 videos and 7 live streams. So I'm doing pretty well. Anyway, so that was it. All right. So now we're going to go on to the next section, which is the Q&A. And I ended up getting quite a few more questions here, which is great. Obviously, they're not going to have the little overlays that I've prepared, but that's okay. So let's go into the first one. I'm just checking the chat real quick. Pretty consistently good. People talking about Hazelburn. I picked up your Starward pick, and I think it's fantastic. Thank you, Gandhi. First time trying Australian whiskey. It didn't disappoint. That's great to hear, Gandhi. I appreciate that. I really wish I could force the Starward on more people. Like, I want people to have that flavor. It's so good. And it's so different than what you usually will get. All right, so the first question I have here, this is the Q&A section. What are your proudest accomplishments and largest regrets? This is from Alex D. Proudest accomplishment, probably like what I was just talking about, being that entry point to a lot of people coming into whiskey, and just knowing that I've introduced them or helped to introduce them to a new hobby, and been that like friendly face that has introduced them to things. Also, just in general, like the, I guess, accuracy / informative nature of my videos is a point of pride for me. Knowing that I do a lot, like there are definitely errors. I've made some mistakes, but most of the things I say are completely accurate, at least as far as what's available online, you know, or possibly at the distilleries. Like if I talk about a distillery, chances are I'm not going to say something that's just wrong. And that's been something that's pretty good. Like my videos are reliable. I've said this like 5 minutes now. All right. And what's my largest regret? Probably my largest regret would be making less videos during those couple years that I was feeling pretty burnt out. I get that it was necessary, and it's kind of like, what do you do about it? Like I was burnt out, so I didn't want to make videos, so I didn't make videos. But my regret is that I didn't make more videos because that made my channel start to flounder. I've been at like, I'm at almost, I think about 65,000 or close to that subscribers. But my channel views are down, and a big chunk of that is because of the way YouTube works. When you produce less videos, it promotes you less. And it's really hard to come back from that. And there was a time, I think it was 2023, I took like 2.5 months off or something for the summer. And boy, I just should never have done that. I don't think my channel has ever recovered from that time. Okay, so that answers that. Number 2. If we were to turn the clock back 40 years, I'm going to put this one on you guys. I did see this. All of the ones you'll see on the screen, ones I've looked at, but I've tried not to answer like mentally because I wanted to do it live on the stream. But I'm definitely going to put this one out to all of you in the chat too, because I don't have a good answer for this one. If we were to turn the clock back 40 years prior to the release of so many bourbons we enjoy today, which bourbons do you think you'd be recommending to people given the limited choices we had in the past? From what I understand, Old Granddad used to be better. I guess, what bourbons would I want from like 40 years ago? I'm a young cherubic angel, so I wasn't around. Cherubic angel. Anything based on a prohibition recipe. Well, that's a good point. See, what's killing me here is thinking about this in terms of bourbon, because like I have answers for Scotch. Things like Macallan probably used to be better. Glenfiddich used to probably be better. A lot of those old names used to be better. And actually, even some of the old spot whiskeys probably were fantastic. Those are Irish, obviously. But with bourbon, I'm not really sure. I feel like bourbon doesn't age a whole lot typically. So it's like, I don't know that the older stuff was significantly better. If anything, it might have been worse. So I don't have a good answer for this. But anybody who has a good answer, throw it in the chat. Number 3. Bill, after 10 years of whiskey reviews, what's the one bottle you'd say changed the way you think about whiskey? That's a good question from Liam. Is it hacky to say, well, you know what? Actually, let's do this. I'm not going to say my Starward pick, but I'll just say Starward in general, because it was the first time I ever had Solera whiskey. Solera systems as a concept is very different than making regular whiskey. It's like blending, but blending over time forever. You know, there's that concept that every whiskey that's ever passed through these barrels is still in there in like a minuscule amount. And I like thinking about that when I drink anything that's Solera, which there aren't a ton of them. So that would probably be my answer is something from Starward. But if I had to give a different answer, what's the one bottle that changed the way I think about whiskey? Probably the Ano 18. It was the first sherry finished Scotch I really ever had that made me love sherry finished Scotches. And now that's probably my favorite type of whiskey. So that would probably be my answer. One of those two. Looking back, what's the worst whiskey you've ever reviewed, and do you still stand by that opinion? Black Velvet, and yes. All right. Oh, sorry. That was Lisa. So Santiago, you've done some deep dive educational videos over the years. What's the most surprising thing you learned about whiskey that totally blew your mind? That's a fun question. What did I learn about whiskey that was totally crazy? You know, I have an answer to this question. I'm not sure if it's a good answer, but I'm going to give it anyway. So Ardbeg, for all of what they've done recently, where they've kind of been like this went wrong, let's release a version of it. This broke, let's release a version of it. I guess learning about how different whiskey can be, if like a piece of the mechanisms that make like all of it, if a piece of the procedure fails, how can that completely change the whiskey? And things like fermutation or heavy vapors, or really just any of it, that's been interesting, because it's let me see a different part of the whiskey making process than just being like comparing the 10-year-old to a 12-year-old to a 15 to an 18. It's been like, this is what happens if this piece breaks. So I think that's been kind of fun. All right, number 6. This is from Jacob. If you could go back to day 1 of the Whiskey Dictionary and give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be? Make more videos, and probably start doing single barrel picks sooner. You've tried whiskeys from all over the world. Are there any emerging whiskey regions or distilleries you're especially excited about? This is from Kenji. That's a good question. I mean, Irish comes to mind, but they're not emerging, right? Like they're just kind of having a renaissance, or re-emerging. I guess. Does anybody in the chat have a good answer for this one? This is interesting. I would love an Ardbeg rant video. Yeah. All right. Sorry, I'm just reading the chat. I wonder if anyone realized that they were tasting 40 years ago compared to today, though. So maybe that would change the answer. Yeah. American single malt. Oh, that's a good answer. I don't know how I didn't think of that. I'm not gonna beat that. That's a really good answer. India, Taiwan, and hopefully Britain soon. I don't know. I've had some English whiskeys and I'm like about it. I think India has a lot of potential. I wish there were more Indian whiskeys. The ones that I've had have all been great, or almost all been great. But it's hard not to be excited about what American single malt's doing right now. Good question, Kenji. That was a tough one. From Megan, I like any question that starts with "be honest." Be honest. How many half-empty whiskey bottles do you still have lying around from old reviews, and do you ever go back to them? All of them. So, for me, I kind of keep all of these on the shelf, because I want to be able to compare them to things I'm having sooner, or like, more recently. So if I buy a bottle and I want to try it, I might be like, oh, this tastes like this thing I had 7 years ago, and I like to think I still have that bottle on the shelf. So that would probably be my answer to that one. I think that was Megan, right? Yeah, Megan. Let's see. Brian says, what's the biggest misconception people have about whiskey that you wish more folks understood? That one's easy, is that not all scotches are peated. And if you've tried any of the Johnny Walker, like Johnny Walker Black tends to be one that puts people off of whiskey because it's a little smoky and they don't like that. So if I could tell everybody that like not all whiskey is peated and a lot of it can be really sweet or fruity, that would be something I would tell them. Good question, Brian. What's the biggest Mark, your channel has always had a really approachable vibe. Do you have any advice for someone just starting to explore whiskey? I would say watch some of my beginner videos. Those are pretty good. Learning to taste whiskey for me is where the fun of this hobby is. Really, like, it's hard to say, but like drinking whiskey sure can be about getting drunk. But for me personally, it's usually not. It's about, like, I love food. And when I eat random foods, I love to taste random things. And I like to see like, oh, what does this taste like? Oh, there's all these little pieces. It tastes like something altogether, or the little pieces taste like something. And you could do the exact same thing with whiskey. So for me, it's just another outlet for that part of myself that loves to just taste different things. So if you learn to taste whiskey well, that for me would be my suggestion is work on that. And by doing to work on that, you should taste as many things as you possibly can. That would be my suggestion. All right. I think I have one more of these questions here. You've shared so much with this community. What's been the most rewarding part of running the Whiskey Dictionary for the last decade? From Omar. I mean, kind of the obvious answer is seeing a lot of the same people all the time and getting to know people. That's rewarding. But rewarding as well is knowing that I'm bringing people into the hobby. So I think that's a good one. I've never understood how Scotch is peated is a thing people think. The other ones like bourbon, Kentucky, or Tennessee, not bourbon, at least are understandable. I think it's less that they think it's peated and more that they think all Scotch is smoky. Because that's what I hear, is people literally saying it's smoky. Okay, and then I got a few kind of like late responses. Let's see. I won't be able to bring these up on the chat, but let's look at these questions. This one is from Molly and Anders. Those are my friends, Molly, right? So what's your most favorite memory from when the crew and I made a cameo on the show? And what are the odds that you ever drink Johnny Walker Red again? P.S. Congrats on the 10 years. Proud of you and looking forward to sharing some whiskey. Yeah, I mean, I think it's got to be your mom making me drink Johnny Walker Red. I just can't imagine it being anything else. All right, this next one is from somebody that just goes by K. Got into whiskey about 4 months now, but I also started to branch out and tried other spirits like tequila and mezcal, perhaps even rum and brandy eventually. I think it necessary to do so since many whiskeys are now aged in a barrel of other spirits. I even pick up trying wine because one of my Irish is aged in Cabernet Sauvignon cask to see how it affects the whiskey. Have you considered or have you tried other spirits because of this reason? Okay, cool. So basically they've tried a whole bunch of stuff. Have I really expanded out to other things? Short answer is yes. Longer answer is not nearly as much as I would like to. I definitely make it a point to try things like tequila and rum and vodka and brandy and cognac and port and everything else, wines, because I want to be able to identify flavors that are prevalent in those things. But as far as like going to a restaurant and getting my drink with my dinner, like I won't usually order a cocktail that's made with another alcohol. If I don't order a beer, I'm usually ordering a whiskey cocktail because I want to be like, should I make that on the channel? You know, it's like everything's about the whiskey dictionary to me whenever I'm anywhere. So I do drink other things, but it's all research, which also means it's deductible. So, you know, that's good. All right. So next question is from Xavier. How many hours per week do you usually spend for the channel? Oh my God. I'm glad somebody asked this. So I used to say that making a video would take me 5 hours per video because between coming up with the idea, writing a script, making a thumbnail, writing a description, filming it, editing it, and then anything else I need to do. Also just drinking, right? Like, I mean, it's not for nothing, but I have to like sit alone with a bottle and sip it in order to take my notes. And that's not a short amount of time, like maybe a half hour. I usually say everything takes about 5 hours. I have somewhat recently gotten that down to about 3 or maybe 2.5 hours, which has helped immensely and is part of the reason that I've been able to put out a lot more videos this year. My reviews, you probably noticed there's a format to them now. It's a little bit more, it's like I start off, I kind of talk about it a little bit. I talk about the history. I like even have, you know, usually the same video graphic in the back. I've templated out my videos, so I've been able to cut that in half, which has allowed me to make more videos. Now, the funny thing is those videos, like the 3-minute videos, they take like 7 hours to make because I have to find all of this B-roll and cut it and make it good and whatever else. So it takes a long time to make this channel. I don't understand how people. All right, let's see. Oh, with Tennessee whiskey being bourbon, one thing being sorry, I'm just reading through. We were all taught that a square is a scientific kind of what the hell are you guys talking about? All right, whatever. All right, so thank you, Xavier. Next, we have another one from Xavier. Do you have one favorite bottle of whiskey in all your crazy big collection? I would have to say it's Old Forester 1920, even though I don't have any on the shelf right now. I think that's probably the one I would just, like, if I saw it, I'd be like, that's probably what I'm going to drink. I would actually like to explore more of those year-stated series. I think there's a name for it, of the Old Foresters. That would be great. But yeah, 1920 from Old Forester. This one's from Kay. I bought Teeling single grain for my whiskey flight, and the initial pour was so harsh it took me 3 pours and almost a week for the whiskey to open up, and now it's incredible. This makes me a firm believer of neck pour, any bottle that give you this similar experience. A lot of them, actually. Neck pour as like a scientific thing, there is no difference between anything that you pour, other than at some point you have let enough alcohol evaporate for it to taste different. And that's really what it comes down to. So I guess the short answer is almost every bottle tastes different during my first taste versus when I actually do a review. Most of the bottles that you see me review will probably be about a quarter gone because of that exact reason. Sometimes you'll see me filming one kind of last minute and you'll see it maybe has like 2 pours gone out of it. But I really try to avoid that. But yeah, the first taste is definitely different. And then the last question I have here from Sai, do you have any plans of making your own whiskey? I do not. I think there's enough other people kind of doing that at the moment that it's not really a thing I necessarily want to get into. Frankly, like I enjoy talking about whiskey. I enjoy learning about whiskey. I know enough about how to make whiskey, but I've never made whiskey. So probably not. But I do think it'd be fun to, there's a place down the street from me that it used to be an ice cream place and it closed down a couple of years ago, and it's like the perfect size for a distillery. It even has a little pagoda at the top. And I was like, boy, I'd love to buy that. It would be awesome. And I could maybe like start a whiskey distillery in there, and that'd be really fun, and I could work for myself. And then I look at like the success rate of distilleries, and it's very likely that it would fail. Additionally, just happens to be on a main road. So I'm also like, okay, maybe like car exhaust wouldn't be great for all the barrels. But also the location itself costs like $2 million. I looked into this, like I really did. So yeah, I don't think I'll be doing that. Let's see. So I asked my local cigar. All right. So here's a question for you guys. This is kind of like that next section. So I've 2 more sections here. I've got this little piece. This is a whiskey Dic Trivia. So this is gonna test everybody, and I'm gonna do one more Wheel of Doom here, just to have something in my glass. What's this one? All right, Whistle Pig Roadstock. Okay. Let me actually make sure that I went through all of these. Johnny Walker Traditional Irish Breakfast. Or yes, I did. Okay, cool. Having the little clips is fun. It's fun to just watch it and laugh at myself. All right, so we're gonna do some Whistle Pig Roadstock. Let me see what's the deal with this. Whistle Pig Roadstock. So it's based in the Shoreham, Vermont, crafted Roadstock rye whiskey as the first world's first finished on the road whiskey. I don't know what that means. The whiskey embarked on a 6,000-mile journey from Vermont to California and back in a custom rolling rickhouse. That's kind of silly, but also fun. Along the way, it was finished in Jordan Winery Bordeaux blended casks and Firestone Walker Brewing Company's beer barrels, resulting in a unique flavor profile influenced by both wine and beer cask finishes. Very cool. Okay. Spencer, you're not wrong. So Spencer says that Whistle Pig is basically one of those brands he completely ignores. I had for quite a while. I did the 6-year-old, I think it's like right behind me. Yeah, the piggyback. I was surprised. I kind of liked it. It was it's their own stuff too, which made me feel better about the future of the brand. But yeah, I mean, their stuff has often been overpriced, and it's like, why would I buy that when I could buy something else? All right. It smells like cough syrup. Like grape cough syrup. Yeah, nailed it. All right, cheers, everybody. Kind of tastes like it too. Ooh. Yeah, actually. Wow, I can't believe how much that tastes like grape. Like, it tastes like purple. You know? That's really weird. I don't know. Maybe that'll get a little better as we go. So, all right. Whiskey Dic Trivia. Who can answer this question? What was the first whiskey I ever drank? I'm going to just check out the chat a little bit here while you guys maybe type in an answer. So I picked up the Piggyback 6 at Costco because it was cheap. Haven't cracked it open yet. Yeah, I mean, it's not bad. Mine came with a cool little spout that looks like a pig head. So if nothing else, that's just neat. Chipton wants to get my boss a bottle of, I think, the 15-year WP. And he shared, and it was decent, but not worth the price. He enjoyed it a lot, though, so worked. Okay. Whistle Pig, obviously. So Alex says Wild Turkey 101. First you ever drank, Jack number 7. Well, I will say, Alex, you nailed it. So Wild Turkey 101, it was the first whiskey I ever drank. I was 18 and I was on a cruise ship, and I had it in a Manhattan. Actually, if I'm being fair, I think it was probably regular Wild Turkey, but I don't know that for a fact. I just know that they said it's a Wild Turkey Manhattan. So I would guess it's probably regular wild turkey, but you got close enough. Very good. No, it wasn't anything sketchy like Old Crow, at least, thankfully. The first beer I ever had, unfortunately, was a Budweiser, but that was a different problem. All right, what I mentioned this earlier in the stream. What was my very first live stream? First whiskey I ever drank was, dare I say it, Johnny Walker Red. It's okay, Piper. We all make mistakes. And you were too young. You didn't know better. I remember the story of the Manhattan. I forget what video. Yeah, it might have been in the Manhattan video I just did a couple weeks ago. So my very first live stream, first ever alcohol I had was, people just talking, wow, Jack and Coke at 25 years old. Nice. I mean, that's a solid one to have as your first drink. 25. That's, I can appreciate how late that is. I had my first alcohol at like 18. But then I stopped for a long, like until probably 21 or 22. Number 7 for me, which is why I didn't think I liked whiskey until I was 37. Okay, so I think that's fine. My first live stream was that one about the how to taste whiskey, where I was talking about how I had it on the table and we were doing like the behind the scenes thing. What's the lowest rated whiskey that I've ever reviewed, as far as like what is my least favorite whiskey that I have on here, that I've ever drank? This one should be easy. Black Velvet. Yep. Okay. I have one more question for you guys. Given I didn't put a whole lot of these together, but I also didn't want to be like, hey, everybody, look at me, as I proceed to stream for 2.5 hours. So let me just make sure I phrase this right. So which of the following has not happened on the Whiskey Dictionary? I did a live review that went sideways. I had a whiskey explode or spill or otherwise cause chaos. I accidentally called a whiskey by the wrong name the entire video. Or I reviewed a whiskey while wearing a ridiculous costume. Knowing me, I think a lot of you guys could probably guess this one properly. So I have had a whiskey explode. So, well, I'm considering that Weller exploding in my face to be a whiskey exploding. I have never called a whiskey the wrong name for the entire video, but I have absolutely done it and then had to refilm stuff. So you guys have just never seen it. I totally count the Weller blend. Yep. I've definitely used the wrong name for sure. In fact, actually, maybe some of you guys have seen the trailer for this live stream. I said that this video was going to be on Saturday, March 16th, which is actually Sunday, March 16th. I was hopeful that many of you would pick up on my mistake and show up at the right time, but yeah, I can't even believe I didn't catch that when I was editing. All right, yeah, so I've definitely worn many ridiculous costumes on this thing. All right, so we're gonna approach the end of the live stream here, just with my last little bit. Number one, first off, thank you to anybody who super chatted during the course of the video. I haven't looked if anybody's bought any of the bottles off the Whiskey Dick Picks. Thank you very much for doing so. But the first person I absolutely need to thank for the last 10 years of this channel is corny, but my wife. She has been infinitely patient with the fact that I am consistently exhausted, probably not around as much as I need to be. And, you know, generally like she'll go to bed and I'll come down here. And I just appreciate everything that she's done. Even today, she took care of the kids the whole day so I could prep and stream. And, you know, I will say I'm not as intoxicated as I assumed I would be after 2.5 hours of talking and drinking. But, you know, like the rest of the night, she's going to probably pull more than her share. So I just want to thank her. You know, she's awesome. My wife is fantastic. So I do. Oh, thank you very much, Alex. Thank you. Props to Mrs. Whiskey Dick. Yep. I will let her know that you said so. I do also want to thank this is my patrons. All of you, first of, if you've ever subscribed to my Patreon for any amount of time, I want to thank you. But specifically, I want to thank the following people who have been my top contributors over the last few years. So Barry, Eric, Misha, Alex, Matt, Steve, Taylor, and Jonathan. All of you guys have significantly contributed to the Patreon and allowed this channel to exist. So thank you so much for everything that you've been doing. Just something interesting to know, and I haven't seen them show up in the chat, which I'm a little surprised at because they usually would show up to something like this. So my oldest patron is actually a podcast called New Game Plus, which them and I have been kind of hand in hand for the entirety of when we've been doing our thing. I don't know if they've hit 10 years yet. I know they started slightly after me, so I would guess probably not. But they're a retro gaming podcast where 3 guys spend 7 days playing one old game and then they talk about it. And it's a podcast I listen to every week. But they have been one of my oldest patrons at the $5 tier, basically for the entirety of my Patreon. So thank you guys very much. And hundreds of other patrons as well. So thank you very much. I want to take a minute to thank all the other YouTubers that I've had like a significant relationship with. And there may be some that I've forgotten or maybe some that I've spent like less time with. So certainly don't take offense, but these people have been significant in my personal growth here on YouTube. Number one has to be Jason from the Mash and Drum. Jason is just an upstanding dude. Like, can't say enough good stuff about him. Obviously, I wish him so much luck with everything he's been doing. All of his Mash and Journey Club, he's like picking the coolest stuff, not as cool as, of course, the Star Word, Radiant Red Solera. But, he's been doing really, really good stuff, him and Scott both. And I wish him so much success. And it seems like he's getting what he deserves, and he works really hard at it. Adriana from Whiskey Mountains, as well as Clifton from Bourbon Bites and Ed from the Rock Cut Review. All 3 of them plus Jason were on Dungeons and Drams, and they, I've spent like a couple of years playing D&D with those guys, so it's been really, really fun. Obviously, Adriana has done so much for Alzheimer's research. She's a really, really cool person, and she's really fun. Just talking to her, like, kind of always made me smile and laugh, and she's a really fun person. Same with Clifton. Clifton is just like, I want Clifton to get more attention. Like, everything about Clifton is just so fun, and I love talking to him. And he's like I wish he was a little bit more confident, but I get that that's just like him. But he's such a fun guy to talk to, and I really enjoy spending my time with Clifton. Same with Ed. I know Ed isn't on YouTube anymore, and I think that's fine. He may never even see this video, but if he does, Ed, just know that you have been kind of like an inspiration to me in a lot of ways. You're a funny guy. You've made me laugh countless times as well. All of those D&D games were just a great time, and I do hope that we continue to do that someday. I just need to get off my butt and plan some more games. So then I also want to go to Matt, Sarah, and Will from Whiskey Crusaders. Matt has been a huge supporter of this channel forever. He's been wearing his whiskey shirt, the brown one that I produced, on most of his shows. It's fun to see, and just in general, all 3 of them have been really, really fun to get to know. Matt is, him and I text fairly frequently. He obviously has opened up the Whiskey Crusaders business over in Texas. I'm sorry, I don't remember exactly where, but look it up. It's like a physical building that you can go to now, and you can learn all about whiskey. You could try all kinds of stuff, and it's wild to think that like most of that whiskey was just his. He just has so much whiskey. Roy from Aquavite. This might feel like a weird one, but actually Roy was a bit of an inspiration to me in, like, he pointed out a lot of little things that he thought I could do better, but also fairly important, he designed my logo. The middle part anyway, the books and the Glencairn glass, he helped me with that, and then I did the rest of it. But like, I wouldn't have my logo if it weren't for Roy. I remember distinctly a conversation him and I were having at La Quinta. We were outside, and he like had me try a few things, and he was like, he was doing what I do for other people to me. And I was just like, man, this guy knows what he's talking about. So he's a really cool guy. Scott and Bart from the Scotch Test Dummies, not only were they fun to get to know at our random meetups in La Quinta, but I mean this in the nicest possible way. Like, I saw their videos first, and that was what, like, they kind of inspired me to start my own channel. And that just, like, without their channel, I might not have started my own. Daniel and Rex from the Whiskey Vault, of course, huge for the community, huge for the hobby, and just huge for whiskey on YouTube. Daniel is a extremely nice guy. Rex gave me some really valuable advice about video creation. Daniel gave me some really good advice about like ideation, and we had a few really good conversations. Sorry if that sounds redundant. A few really like significant conversations about my channel and how it could be better. Eric Waite from Eric Waite Whiskey Studies, him and I have chatted a million times. We've gone back and forth. We actually watch a lot of the same YouTube channels that help you to improve on YouTube, and we kind of shared tips and tricks and stuff, whatever else we'd learn. Like, oh, did you see this video? Oh no, did you see this? You know, that kind of a very professional kind of thing. But we also we did that thing that like close friends do, where you act kind of gay with each other. And it was, it's fun to have friends like that. Chris from Bourbon Sane, he produced this video, which to this day might be one of the most complimentary videos I've ever seen. When his channel was getting going, I think I invited him to be on a stream, and he ended up making a video that was kind of like his experience becoming a whiskey tuber. And he pretty much was just like acting like he was talking with his wife, and he was like, honey, did you hear it? Like, Bill from the Whiskey Dic, he invited me on his show. He's got like 30,000 subscribers. And like, even just hearing that, it's just fun as a human to hear somebody think so highly of you. And not only that, but I had him on a number of streams. We had a really fun time, and I miss Chris. I actually hope that he's doing well. I know he has a family. He has like a lot of land and stuff, and he just kind of does his own thing now, but he's not on YouTube anymore. Sarah and Chad from It's Bourbon Night. Again, Chad gave me a lot of like technical advice, cameras, lighting, etc., etc. Sarah is really fun to know, but Chad and I, like, we didn't talk a ton, but every time I talked to him, I would learn something. So that was really nice. Only a couple more of these. Sam and Bobby from My Whiskey She Wines. I know their channel's not around anymore, but as you saw earlier, like, I had some of the best times on live streams with them. And I just want to thank them for all that they've done. And then this one might come as a little bit of a surprise, but Swami from Malted in Montreal. Swami took an interest in me that really was interesting. Like, he always had this air about him as if he was like the shit. and he it was funny to hear somebody who thought so well of themselves also think well of you. And he was part of some of my very earliest live streams, and I got comfortable being on live stream in part from hanging out with him. Anyway, so that's everybody I wanted to say thanks to. Obviously, I do also want to say thanks to everybody who's just shown up to a live stream or watched any of the videos. But I felt like all of those people deserved to be called out specifically. Okay, so there's one little thing that I do want to still say here. It's the end of the live stream. I want to say thank you to everybody. I do want to give one last cheers. But you guys are going to see a video come out in about a half hour. And I do also want to give some context to it. I am retiring from the Whiskey Dictionary. The Whiskey Dictionary this will be the last live stream, and the video coming out in about a half hour will be the last video ever put out on the stream. And I thought it was worth mentioning now so that you guys could at least know a little bit ahead of time to maybe look for that video. It's only about 3 minutes long. It's been a really fun 10 years. If I'm being perfectly honest, my heart hasn't been in it for the last couple of years. This was a fun reflection for me, and I appreciate you guys all hanging out and letting me do that and just spending time with me, drinking with me, and hanging out. But it makes sense for it to be done because it's just not something that I look forward to doing anymore. I still really like drinking whiskey, but making videos, knowing that there's like 10,000 other channels out there, the video views are down, and it's just been 10 years. Like, I'm exhausted and it's time to retire. So for anybody who's still here or anybody watching in the future, please know that this has been a really fun time, and I'm deciding to retire before I struggle to make the videos. I can see the chat moving fairly fast. I haven't looked at it yet, but I appreciate everybody I've gotten to know. I appreciate all of the comments that you guys have left, everything I get to read. Like, I'm on my phone constantly looking at what you guys are posting back to me and whatever else. You've been a huge part of my life for the last 10 years, but I need to be done. I need a slightly healthier lifestyle. I need to probably drink less. And I need to sleep more. So anyway, check out the video that's coming out in about a half hour. It's entitled The End of the Whiskey Dictionary. And I look forward to seeing your comments probably for many years in the future. But more so, I hope that some of our paths cross. If you ever see me in public, absolutely come up, say hi. Hey, Bill. It'd be nice to see you. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining me here on the Whiskey Dictionary. And I hope you have a great rest of your night. Cheers.
Bill the Whiskey Dick sang a tune so stout. Live stream ended, we're out and about. Whiskey bottles empty, cheer and shout. He drank it all, no room for doubt. Raising glasses high, we toast the night. Golden liquid dancing in the light. Bill the hero of our boozy plight. He drank for us and won the fight. In the pub where laughter roams so free, we gather round and sing in harmony. Whiskey flowed like an endless sea. Bill the Whiskey Dick, our history. Oh, the tales he told and stories spun. Every sip a battle, every shot a ton. In his eyes the spark of moon and sun. Bill the fearless, his night begun. Raising glasses high, we toast the night. Golden liquid dancing in the light. Bill the hero of our boozy plight. He drank for us and won the fight. So here's to Bill, the legend of the hour, who faced the whiskey wielding all its power. In his name our voices louder tower. Bill the Whiskey Dick, our finest flower. Raising glasses high, we toast the night. Golden liquid dancing in the light. Bill the hero of our boozy plight. He drank for us and won the fight.